Welcome back to Punch Drunk Nerd, the podcast where three friends, three amigos, three bambinos come together to talk about nerd shit. My name is Luis Gonzalez, and with me is...
Miguel Sanchez.
A Deadpool.
And this week, we are talking about Dream Scenario, the Nicolas Cage vehicle that stars a lot of people. And we're doing this movie because I won the summer movie wager, and I said, hey, everybody, you got to watch this movie. So we're going to talk about Dream Scenario, this weird-ass movie. But before we do all that, let's talk about the news, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go back to normal. Go back to normal.
Am I not normal yet?
Just say, hey there, pretty lady.
Oh, my bad. I don't know why it's not going back to normal.
Hey everybody, we're back.
Oh, there it is. Oh, thank God.
I thought I went back to normal when I said Luis Gonzalez, but apparently I was still in my normal voice.
Oh, I thought you were doing a bit. I thought you were like, no, we're going to continue all the way through.
Nope, I genuinely thought that I was switched over to another voice, so that was my bad, y'all.
I like it. I like the, you know what I mean? How many episodes have we done?
This is 124 or 5 or something like that.
You know, I like that we're still playing with things, you know?
Yeah, we got a couple things, like, you know.
We're upgrading is the word.
Yeah. Well, some
upgrading.
That's too loud. That's too loud, right? Is that too loud in your ears?
No.
I don't know. Let's ask our audience tomorrow.
Guys, is that too loud? Let me know. Here, can I edit it real quick? I can't. Okay, whatever. Welcome back to Punch Drunk Nerd. We're going to talk about news. How about that? It's been a while. We're so excited to talk about all the news that's coming up as I open up my doc.
I was going to say, let me do the same thing. There it is.
Here we go. Episode 125. Oh my God. Okay, so the Emmys. That's right. The Emmys just happened this Sunday. And if you're asking, hey, didn't the Emmys just happen?
Did they just happen?
And you're right. It did just happen. It happened in January or something like that. And the reason why is because we had a strike. And so that pushed everything over to January.
I saw a tweet. You know, we had been kind of texting back and forth about this. And I saw a tweet that was like, wait, do the Emmys just happen every weekend? Because like, nah, for real. Because I texted you
this
guys
is
like
the
a
best
week.
TV of the week.
I texted you like a week or two ago that was like, oh, so-and-so just won an Emmy. And you were like, is this recent? And I was like, I think so. And then like a week later, they aired the Emmys. And I was like, wait, okay. Yeah. They were like just pre-releasing this shit.
That does make more sense now that you say it, Luis, from the strikes. But it is, yeah, it did seem very close to it. But also like, I don't know. Yeah, just very sudden. Nobody was talking about it. Like, where's the cutoff line? Why do the actors keep needing these things?
Why do they keep needing Emmys?
Like how? Why? Like I felt like we just gave the Bear best comedy last year. You know what I mean?
Well,
that just happened.
It's like the Olympics. Remember, the Olympics were supposed to be 2020, and then it got delayed to 2021.
Yeah.
So you know, does that make sense, or did that analogy work? Or did it not land?
Yeah. Sure.
Ed's no.
Right. We are so fucked.
That's how you know the audience listening is like, oh, so they've entered their soundboard era. That's good.
Yeah. This is the soundboard. Because of this blue era, we've entered into our soundboard era. Which you guys, I can give you guys the apps. So you guys can all do it. You know, I don't have to. I don't have to be the
oh, great.
It might actually break my computer, so I won't. But
well, I'll
just wink at you.
I'm curious about Miguel if he ever got his hands on it, what he would do with it.
Oh, you guys don't want me to do it. Okay.
Really?
Yeah. If you guys are tired of my bits already,
we just like if he got over a subject,
yeah,
he would just be like,
it would be like, no, it would be like, move on. You know what I mean? Or like,
you know how like
his own voice, but he's not talking.
You know how like at the Oscars they start playing people off.
100%.
That would just be Miguel.
Oh, that's really funny.
Yes, I'd love to keep talking about whatever Ed's into this week.
Womp womp. The
Emmys, yes, they came, they went, and we had about 4 big winners. The big winners were Shogun, The Bear, Baby Reindeer, and then winner of Best Comedy this year, Hacks. Not The Bear, it was Hacks.
Good for her.
I think the town has realized that The Bear isn't a comedy, and they were saying, "Hey, let's kind of like represent comedy a little bit more." And The Hacks is a great show, and so it won for Best Comedy, which is awesome.
I've only seen the first season, but it's one of those shows that Sarah and I both have been wanting to hop back on. Just haven't gotten to it, but yeah,
same.
We really enjoyed that first season, so whatever that show gets, I'm sure it deserves.
I really like Jean Smart, and I like her character when she's off stage, but when she performs and she's like doing stand up, I'm a little like, oh, okay, like this is like what an actor thinks stand up is,
stand up,
or not necessarily what she thinks or how it's written,
Yeah. Portrayals of stand-up are never good, I feel like. But
did you see Marvelous Miss Maisel?
See,
Luis,
now you're
gonna
gonna make me like backpedal here, because like I like what they did, but I think it was like a period thing that
definitely
worked
a period
for her.
piece. Yeah,
it helped that it was not a modern day thing. So she's like doing this character, you know what I mean? And
of the time,
and it fits. But I just think when Jean Smart, because there's sometimes when she's first off, I think she's funny because like when she's interacting, just regular dialogue, she's hilarious. But when she's getting up there and she's like, anyway, joke, and everyone laughs, and you're like, oh, okay,
do you ever see this thing, la da da, or do you hear about this? Like, it is really just kind of checking things off, but stereotypical. But
she's very good,
yes,
nonetheless. And so I don't hate. I'm not hating. I'm not a hater.
That's like a very small part of the show, at least from season 1, as far as I can tell. So,
no, we're fans in this house. We'll keep watching.
Emmys, tune in for it next week when we get some more winners.
Yo, I'm kind of excited about this next piece.
I'm not, because it's a rumor.
I'm excited.
It's not even a rumor.
Ed, can we shut up for a second? I'm excited to hear Ed's thoughts on this. Ed, go ahead.
Which one are we talking about? Because I suddenly realized, like, maybe he isn't excited about this one thing I'm thinking of. You go ahead, Miguel. You started this piece.
Hey, you know what's getting a little old, Ed? Is when
Gary
you
Oldman.
interrupt me, okay?
Oh.
So, Gary Oldman. So Harry Potter's coming back, you guys. They're doing an HBO series. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm just going to lead in now, I guess. They're doing it. They're doing a Harry Potter HBO series. No one wants it. But if they're going to do it, allegedly Gary Oldman said he wants to come back, but only if he can play. I'm not going to say but only, because I'm just like editorializing.
Right.
He wants to do Dumbledore.
Yeah.
I kind of like it. I'm like, if someone comes back, Gary Oldman was really fucking good. And if he wants to like be the main character, you know what I mean? It's called Dumbledore, right? I just think, let it happen.
Okay, so I've got 2 questions. First off,
No.
when I read it, I saw it as somebody asked him about the upcoming series and if he would ever consider going back to it. He was like, well, yeah, I guess I'm old enough to play Dumbledore now. And that was it. It wasn't a rumor. It wasn't like a casting thing.
No, there's no casting. It's just his wants.
I know they are actively casting for the 3 leads right now.
Dumbledore. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? Bring back Fantastic Beasts. Let's start that over again. In a wonderful world, to see Gary Oldman come back as Dumbledore, he would be great at it. Of course. Will he? I doubt it.
I mean, I've doubted a lot of things, and it's happened. So
sure.
It could.
No, that's like the realest thing you've ever said, Luis. I vibed so hard when you just said, yeah, you're so right. You're so right. I also saw a fan cast, obviously, because now we're in fan cast season for a new show. You know what I mean? Cillian Murphy as Voldemort. Could you imagine if I said Dumbledore? They're all called Dumbledore. It's like Cillian Dumbledore.
That's like the hottest role right now that all the A-list actors. I hear Tom Hardy's going for it too.
It's just Jude Law.
Oh, fuck off. That would be disappointing.
No, but Cillian Murphy. Listen, I feel like people are itching for Cillian Murphy to be a bad guy. He's not Doom, and people really wanted him to be Doom for the MCU. And are you just now hearing this for the first time, Ed?
Yeah, no. I thought somebody, maybe we've just talked about it so much.
It was between him and Mads Mikkelsen.
That's right. Okay, I was thinking
neither of them got it.
Oh no. I'm sure, Cillian Murphy doesn't need to get involved. Look what happened to Christian Bale.
I bet he doesn't know what Marvel is. He's like, what's Marvel?
I would say, he's probably smarter in the long run. You know what I mean? Like, he's better than that. If I can
And
say that feels mean.
nah. Well, I agree. It's just one of those movies, like Joaquin, like when people were talking about Joaquin Phoenix becoming Doctor Strange. I never believed that was ever going to happen.
Yeah, and obviously it wouldn't happen now that we know how he operates. You know what I mean?
Right.
He would have been like,
no. I'm walking off right in the middle of this like sequel. It's like
he's like he leaves in costume. You're like, he's already fucking dressed.
He grew the goatee. What is up?
He really halfway committed for this. No, anyway, Gary Oldman, I don't know if he wants to come back. I think it would be fun. I do think we would get into trouble if we started being like, oh, they're all coming back, and like someone was like, Daniel Radcliffe should come back and play such and such.
James Potter.
It's like, how about no?
No, we don't need to do that. Like the good thing about this, like the longer that it takes for it to actually come together and cast things, the more time there is between this series and the movies.
Yeah.
Give it some time to breathe. I know that like that series did wrap up in 2012.
Man.
But it does still feel, because we've had those Fantastic Beasts movies and just kind of like Star Wars where they beat the living shit out of it.
Also like
out of certain characters.
The theme parks also, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that too.
It's not like Harry Potter ever went away. Like people were still.
And don't get me wrong, there's lots to like. There is so much of it that lends itself to a series. I'm not opposed to any of that, but I feel as far as casting, if you're trying to make this something of its own, you need to step away from the old cast.
I will say, they're like, the news is, and now Warner Brothers or whatever is casting the 3 leads for the Harry Potter series. Like, this will not have that cultural relevance.
Resonance.
What am I trying? Sorry, I'm
resonance.
It will not hit as hard, okay, as when that first Harry Potter movie came out. You know what I mean? Like, that like swept the world. And I feel like this is not going to be as big. I think it'll scratch an itch for like Potterheads or whatever, but I don't think it's going to be like everyone and their mom is talking about this series,
unless it's, phenomenal.
Okay, so maybe read the room, Ed. If I'm over here talking shit, maybe let's just talk shit a little bit, okay?
Yeah.
It's okay to be a little
I agree.
bitchy every now and then.
It's the overall issue with most of Hollywood right now. Like, we talk about it so often with Star Wars TV series, Marvel shows. Game of Thrones is doing the same exact thing. And it is hard to hold on to that that excitement, that interest, but at the same time, you're also introducing new generations to these characters.
That's true. We talked a lot of shit. I feel like we've said this previously. We talked a lot of shit about like the Lion King and like the Disney remakes in general, like live action. But then I mentioned that my kid was into the Lion King and he watched it more than he watched the cartoon movie, which is probably my fault. If you guys want to judge me as a parent, but it is doing what it's supposed to be doing. It is introducing these characters to an audience. Go ahead.
I'll tell you what's really annoying is when I want to play the Circle of Life, to Alexa here. It's like, play this one. Play this Aladdin song. Play this Little Mermaid song. And then it doesn't play that one anymore. That's the thing that's ruined. These movies have ruined is like my searchability on my smart device here. When I ask it to play it, it always plays the new one. And that's not the one I want.
You have to be so specific.
I think when I think about like, man, I just think about like how hard life can be sometimes. and I go like, like world hunger is here.
Yeah.
But the fact that Alexa plays those fucking live action songs is all the way up here. Fuck her. You know?
It brings my cortisone levels very high. And now I'm an irritant to everyone I see, spreading hate,
anger.
Yeah. Harry Potter's coming out, I think like 2026 or something like that.
Just go to 2030. Who gives a shit? You know what I mean? Let the kids be born. The
Harry Potter and Hermione and Ron haven't been born yet, so we're gonna wait till they're born. But we signed a deal with their parents, and they're very excited for them to play. Gary Oldman, Harry Potter, and honestly, any Dumbledore that we get than the last Dumbledore would be good with me, because that man was erratic as hell.
Okay.
And that first Dumbledore was really, that was Dumbledore.
You're a Dumbledore purist, okay?
Listen, I like to have a pure cut Dumbledore.
I hear you. You're like, no mudbloods here. Wink,
No,
wink.
absolutely
Okay.
not.
That was a good one.
I just because I wasn't the book reader. Okay,
Yeah.
you guys were like, huh? I thank you. I liked Dumbledore. You know what I mean?
So Dumbledore's supposed to be a very calming and assuring
know.
and confident voice, where he just do very little. And here he was so aggressive about himself, like he pushed himself. Like, bro, you don't need to push.
You know what though? I
You're
liked it
supposed to
because
be
he was like, I'm not going to read the source material. I'm going to
talking
perform the way I interpret this character.
It was wrong. I mean, it was a wrong character. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
He did it wrong.
We're talking about
You know
Michael
what?
Gambon.
Yes.
Yeah. R.I.P.
No,
by the way.
100%. Yeah, R.I.P. But also R.I.P. Richard Harris, who would have continued to kill it had he bothered.
Yeah,
to
but
stay
you know
alive.
that one scene? Here's what I always think about. I'm sorry, I don't mean to overtalk.
No.
Talk over
This
you,
is
excuse me. I'm speaking to Ed.
Harry, did you put your name in the goblet of fire?
Being very rude. But I just think, like, first off, I hear what you're saying about Richard Harris. I like Richard Harris, okay, and I do see what you mean about like him playing this like quieter Dumbledore. But do you remember that one movie, the third or fourth one, where him and Voldemort, they meet up in the sewers or whatever, and they have that big wand battle? Sewers are not the right word, but I don't give a fuck.
The Ministry of Magic, yes.
Yeah. I got some magic you can ministry. Okay, like I just where they do the whole thing, and like he's the snake, the fire snake, and he does the water ball thing.
The fifth one, it's the Order of the Phoenix.
Okay, first off, I love that scene. That scene's great. I think
Yeah.
it's so good. And then like Harry jumps in and he like shoos him away with the wand. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't personally see old man Richard Harris, had he lived through all 9 movies or whatever, doing that. You know, with
Sure.
respect. Like you guys are like, he would be quiet, yeah, and that scene would not have hit the same way. I don't think. Okay?
Well, it would have made scenes like that more
Pop?
more extreme, because what was fascinating about Dumbledore was when he got serious or intense, he felt it off the pages, because he's so calm and collected the rest of the time. So when when he's facing off against Voldemort, that is like a oh shit moment.
He locks in.
Yeah, like it's intense. You feel
kind
it.
Kind of like how, do you guys remember when like what was it, episode 2, Yoda is all of a sudden flipping around the scene?
That's exactly what I was thinking for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, me too, because I thought that looked like shit. So
No, but it's the spirit of the idea. It's not the
Spirit of the
execution.
idea.
There's two
Okay,
different
I hear you.
There's two
I hear
camps
you.
you have to view it as.
Yeah.
No.
I always, it's unfortunate too, because I'm about to mention another great dead actor. But I, like, after Richard Harris died, I always felt that Christopher Plummer would have been perfect for Dumbledore.
Oh, yeah.
Now, hey, take a half step back. I kind of agree with you on that. Now I feel like we're like meeting two worlds. We're meeting in the middle, you know, like, because big and he could do it, but he can also be quiet. You know?
Yes.
I see that now. I'm starting to kind of put together what
he has like an aged wisdom about him, you know, a surliness, if you will. Like,
you want to feel that aged wisdom, like this man's lived so much that he doesn't have to, try.
Yeah. But like he has a dry wit to him too. Like, it's
Is he English? He's English in real life.
No,
right? No, he was
Plummer
American.
is Canadian. Yeah.
Oh, no.
But like, genuinely because
counted.
of the original contract when they started the movies, all the cast had to be British. That was a clause.
Hell yeah.
Which
I like
get
a purist.
behind.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but Christopher Plummer could play British like no other. You know what I mean? He spent most of his career playing British roles.
We could have let that one slide, I think. Right?
I think we're gonna let this slide. But yeah, all that to say, all the right actors for this role are now dead. So,
with the exception of Gary Oldman, who wants to do it, I kind of think he could do it.
He could.
So
he could. Yes, he
do
could.
anything. He could do anything. Is what I think.
Oh yeah, I mean he is one of the greatest.
Well,
but I don't think he should.
Yeah.
I don't think he should.
Have you guys seen that show? What's that one? That's Slow Horses.
No, I hear good things about it though.
I do too. Haven't seen it? No.
No.
But let us know down in the comments if you've seen Slow Horses and if we should watch it.
Only you will decide.
Yes. Okay, that's Gary Oldman. He's down to return to play Harry Potter. You know what else is going down? A star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, baby.
I'm ready to fight everyone on this.
The Walk of Fame has a lot of famous actors. It has singers. It has the Avengers in there, but sometimes you will see different characters on there. I think Mickey Mouse is on there. And on September 26th, the Dark Knight himself, Batman, is going to be have his own star. What do you guys think about that?
Well, up until this news, I wasn't fully aware that, yes, characters could get a Hollywood Star of Fame or star, that one. And, because just like, last week, Ewan McGregor got a star. And they had a whole thing.
Oh, yeah, Katy Perry was there, right?
Was she?
Katy Perry?
Yeah,
I think you're mixing up celebrities who are going out. Orlando Bloom is going out with Katy Perry. And that man does not have a star on Hollywood Boulevard.
That was my bad, y'all. Okay, here we go. Take it back to one. Take it
back. Right. Ewan McGregor, yes. Mary Elizabeth Winstead was there, yes. So
yes,
good job.
That's who it was. Yeah.
Anyway, all that to say is, I guess it's kind of a slap in the face to actors who actually try to get on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
You don't even have to try them.
Guys, we're just going to give it to
years.
No, of course.
It's like the 40s.
What are we going to see every Batman show up and accept this, or who?
No, but I can't wait to see what Batman that does come. He's just like,
it's Ben Affleck, isn't it?
I saw someone tweet that was like, "Oh, I hope James Gunn picks his Batman and reveals it at this Hollywood Star." And I was like, Robert Pattinson is still Batman. Like, can he just finish his movies real quick before we just shove another one?
Announce another one, yeah.
Because fuck. Fuck.
It is weird that we didn't have any Batmans, and then there's been so many Batmans now.
It's too many at this point.
All right, I guess that's it. Right?
Hey, Luis. Oh, wait, sorry. Let me ask, Luis. You live in LA, okay?
Yeah. What do you think about this?
And you're not a tourist, right? You don't go to all the touristy spots, but you've been there.
Yeah, of course, I've been there. I love it.
Yeah.
What's your favorite?
What do you think? Give us the overall opinion.
Listen, when I go to Hollywood, which is not a lot because it's kind of a dirty, infestated, little rat hole over there. There's just a bunch of tourists and a bunch of people selling shit. It's kind of a little bit of a hell. But other times when there's red carpet or things like that, it's nice to see names on the floor. It's oh, it's cool. It's part of history. This is what made Hollywood, and it's cool just to be kind of surrounded by all that history. I don't mind this. I think it's nice. I think it's well deserved. I think it's cool. Batman has been a part of our history, and he's heavily in the movies now, and I think it makes sense to have him in the thing. And I could see different people getting it, but I'm not mad about it. I think it's appropriate. Also, stars can pay to have their star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame too.
Now that's a conversation. Yeah. To be here's $3,000 and let me get a star. And you're like, how much? I can get together $3,000. Can I get a star? You know what I mean?
It costs $75,000 to get a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. No, it does
not.
That's what it says. Yes. There is also a $250 application fee to submit a nomination. God.
A fucking racket. Okay.
To be selected for a star, a celebrity must be sponsored and meet current criteria, including at least 5 years in the entertainment industry, awards, nominations, and philanthropic work. Anyone can nominate
it should be at least 25.
You guys, join our Patreon so we can get Hollywood stars on the Walk of Fame. Okay. All right. Luis Gonzalez, Miguel Sanchez, Ed Ball.
We have 3 more years. We have 3 more years till we can do that.
You said Mickey Mouse has one, and that I kind of understand more than Batman. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Well, I think Mickey Mouse covers the youth, and Batman covers the what?
Who?
It covers the
grown
girls
men?
And the boys who love superheroes and action stuff. Disney is babies, and Mickey's babies, and then Batman's a little bit for more.
I
like,
don't think it's like babies.
I wouldn't
But
say
also,
that.
to Mickey's credit,
Oh, I got a problem with that. You know what I mean?
I've been making movies for 100 years. You son of a
son of
bitch.
a bitch.
Yeah. He's like older than all of us, okay?
Yeah.
No, yeah, I like in the grand scheme of things, like you look to. Does Superman have one? Because it would be crazy to me that he doesn't.
Well, I feel like people like Batman out of all of them. I think Batman
I agree.
is the character.
Well,
Generally-
then all of a sudden you start that conversation.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Who's
Well,
more popular?
I mean, Batman is, right? Batman, Spider-Man, like
I don't
Wolverine,
know.
Hulk.
I don't know. I know people that are like Green Lantern's my favorite superhero.
Okay,
and I'm
well,
like,
they don't exist.
okay,
That's just a bot in real life.
okay.
You know what I mean? Like,
Okay, well, yeah. next time I see such and such, I'll tell him you're a bot. Really.
these are some of the characters that have gotten stars. Mickey Mouse, I think, was one of the first ones. The first animated character. He received it in November 1978. Then Bugs Bunny.
Wow.
Snow
See, that
White, Woody
makes
the
sense.
Woodpecker, Big Bird, Tommy Pickles. What the
Big
hell?
Not Tommy Pickles. You're
Tommy
fucking lying.
Pickles. That guy's
When?
a brave little boy. Yeah,
From
in June
Rugrats?
28, 2001. Yeah. The only character from a Nickelodeon star to receive a star on the Walk of Fame.
Yeah, shout out.
Kermit the
I mean,
Frog got one in 2002. Godzilla
That's
got one.
too late. The fact that Tommy Pickles got a fucking star before Kermit,
Ed don't like that. Ed don't
that's
like that.
no, that's fucking, I don't know.
And then Donald
Speciest.
Duck. Donald Duck. I think that's
Oh,
What year Donald Duck?
this one, it doesn't say for me for some reason. Here, I'm diving deeper into this. Oh yeah,
Alex.
see, like these characters show up. The Simpsons. Kermit the Frog. Oh, Kermit the Frog was 2002. Who did you ask for?
Donald Duck.
Duck. 2004, August 9th.
Aw,
Winnie the
that's almost
Pooh.
my birthday.
The Munchkins got a star.
See, okay, now we're getting
Munchkin.
to a point where it's
Like a Munchkin land?
This
Shrek got a star in 2010.
this is ridiculous. I
Yeah.
don't support this. Okay?
This is cheapening it for
If
me.
you were like Mickey Mouse, Batman, one other, Big Bird, I get kind
Yeah.
of. You know what I mean?
Kinda.
It's getting.
It's a
Ed,
gray
you can calm
area.
down. You can calm down. No,
I mean, look,
No, I don't
you,
think I'm right.
you go to the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and there are a bunch of like empty stars. Like there's just like no one there. So like you could fill it up. Breaking Bad. What's his name has a star too.
Walter White.
No, not Walter White, but the actual actor.
Oh, I was
Bryan
about to
Cranston.
smack everyone.
Yeah,
on
Bryan
this
Cranston,
podcast.
he has one.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
fine
okay.
if Bryan Cranston has a because he's a real person. He's contributed
to the industry.
Hollywood or whatever. Like,
Well,
yeah,
these characters contribute to people who love Hollywood. You know, they
Yeah.
probably said, "I'm going to be an animator now," or "I'm going to be a Muppeteer," or "I'm going to be a superhero now." You know, because they see these things.
okay, all right.
It inspires hope.
That's that
That's a little,
Hollywood. That's that Hollywood dreaming.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
Let's keep
come here,
dreaming.
That's a dream.
yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, now it's time to go to trailer talk. We got 2 trailers here.
Oh
Ed.
no!
What happened?
Who-
Oh,
Sorry, I didn't see this first one. I saw the second one. I didn't see the first one. I'm sorry.
yeah,
I think
talking
you snuck it in.
talking of
didn't
Cillian Murphy,
Hell
who
yeah.
Oh yeah.
who is in the running for Voldemort, and I'm sure many other roles, and recently Academy Award winning for Best Actor in Oppenheimer. This is like his first movie since Oppenheimer, and called Small Things Like These. I apologize. And it follows the following. In 1985, devoted father Bill Furlong discovers disturbing secrets kept by the local convent and uncovers shocking truths of his own.
Ooh.
This stars
I love
Cillian Murphy, Ciaran Hinds, Michelle Fairley, who was
Oh
Catelyn Stark
yeah.
from Game of Thrones, yeah. Emily Watson, not to be confused with Emma Watson, and some other people. But that's pretty exciting. And I'll be honest, I didn't really know anything about this when I watched the trailer, but obviously Cillian Murphy, hey. And it really started catching my interest as the trailer went on. It seems like Cillian Murphy is this character who works at the convent, like he, he's kind of like a caretaker there. Maybe I'm just assuming he works with a lot of coal. He's a dirty boy, but yeah, starts seeing like just kind of like quietly observing from like a distance, like these goings on around this convent, and it starts to get a little eerie, creepy. I don't think it's necessarily a horror movie, but it does seem to be like a drama thriller kind of thing. So anyway, I thought this looked interesting.
I think it's crazy that it's his first movie since Oppenheimer, because Oppenheimer feels so long ago at this point. You know what I mean? Like, the movie came out, and then they did a whole awards circuit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then he won the Oscar, and that was earlier this year, right? Like February or whatever that was.
Yeah.
March,
Mhm.
maybe. I don't give a shit.
Much, yeah.
But it's like the year's almost over, and it's like, whoa, okay. I guess it's really not that short, not that long, excuse me. But it just feels like so much time has passed.
Right, yeah.
And like he was at home going, I'll pick a movie when I'm ready, you know?
Well, he's probably just already recording
He
it.
probably already
Well,
did it before.
Yeah.
I'm more on vibes. I'm just talking about.
Yeah.
I'm ready to release it now.
Yeah. He said,
yeah.
now go.
This is coming out November 8th. To limited theaters.
It looks really well shot. I like how
It does.
looks,
like
yeah.
it sets a good mood, like a
Mhm.
certain atmosphere about it. So yeah, I'm not completely prepared to write this one off as just kind of like a under the radar indie. Like, it looks pretty decent.
It's
so
coming out a good time of year too, November.
yeah, not for
a good
me.
month.
Not for me. Everything going forward after this weekend is going to be a big old question mark for me. So I really have to prioritize my
Sure. Hey,
movies.
with respect, I wasn't speaking to like your personal situation.
Oh.
I was more so talking about like, yeah, November's a good month for releasing a movie.
Sure. Yeah.
Why? What's going on with you, Ed? Anything big, new?
Nothing great. So yeah, that's small little things. Oh, small things like these. I'm sorry.
Small things like these. What's the runtime on small things like these?
An hour and 36 minutes, I believe I just saw.
Whoa, you had that ready to go.
Yeah, because I just saw it and I was like, oh,
Say it again.
an hour? Let me confirm, but I'm not
Say
just
it slow though. Say it sexy.
1 hour and 36 minutes.
Let's fucking.
Oh, that's good stuff.
Oh, I love In and Out. You know what I mean? Just a quick, tight movie. All right, that's what I'm fucking talking about.
Talking about tight movies, you guys have heard of a little guy named Bong Joon-ho?
Is that how you say it?
Bong Joon-ho.
Yeah.
Yeah. He,
He's
the
pretty
best director, best foreign language film, best picture of 2019
Yeah.
for Parasite.
Never mind. Go ahead.
He's back. This is his first movie since Parasite. And here he is.
It's crazy that he was just making that movie. And
Let me get the movie out. Let me get the fucking title out. You son of a bitch.
See, you sound good there. We don't know what's going on. We're gonna
Okay,
figure it out.
If I just keep talking like this,
no, back
like,
off again. Back off.
like I'm licking a nipple.
What I
Close
like
to-
about this is that he took his time to do another movie. You know?
Yes. He wasn't just like handed a script like, hey, we love you now. Do this.
Right.
Yeah. No, yeah. This was something that has been in development for a while, and they've been narrowing down on a release date, which unfortunately is not till January, which tends to not bode well for most movies. But
So that
having seen the trailer, I was 100% on board with this movie.
Yeah,
man.
I agree with you. I feel like it's odd that it got the January date after seeing the whole trailer. It has a Robert Pattinson, Batman himself, or the guy from Twilight, whichever you like. And
he's done other things.
what else? He's done. He was at Megalopolis. No,
The Lighthouse. What?
Was he-
Megalopolis.
Oh no, what's the other one?
Yeah.
He was in
Cosmopolitan.
Cosmopolitan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cosmopolis.
Cosmopolis.
No, we're making up words.
Okay.
Remember Me? You guys remember that movie?
Remember Me.
That movie where at the end of the movie he's in 9/11.
I did see that, but I did see the meme.
Okay.
We've all seen the meme. But yeah, the lighthouse. The rover.
He also he starred in that photo of Mickey 17 for 3 years before the movie finally got a trailer.
Oh yeah,
You guys know what I'm talking about?
The one, the
yes,
back, yeah,
the fucking thing.
That's
how many
just
times
like-
did you see that photo? Yes.
Okay.
It's like the fucking the Wolves, the Martin Scorsese movie where we saw Leonardo DiCaprio looking up at
Wolf
the
of
sky.
Wall Street.
At the table. Yes,
At the
when he was
table.
with her and him at the table, and you were like, "What is this movie? Do they ever leave this
Yeah.
fucking room?"
Yeah,
No.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
we get it. Nah, let's get it. Sorry, we're goofing off. Let's get into the trailer. I thought it looked great. All right,
did
I was
too.
like, it looked like a weird movie, but people seem to eat up when Robert Pattinson has like a weird little voice. That's the thing that trended so much on Twitter.
But it wasn't even.
Oh,
it was
he's
so
got a-
natural.
I didn't think- yeah.
It didn't feel.
It wasn't Tom Hardy
I'm just-
weird.
Yeah, it wasn't Tom
Well,
Hardy weird.
Well,
That's
Miguel,
the truth.
I love Miguel's reporting from the social stance. Like Miguel's just reporting what he's hearing.
I'll tell
on
you
the
what they said.
on the
I got
social. I
Hey.
love this actually. Hey, we're gonna throw it
Bro.
to Miguel right now. Miguel, what are we hearing on the social scape?
So listen, finger on the pulse, Miguel. That's me. Yeah, everyone was talking about how they were so excited because Robert Pattinson came out with a goofy little voice or a weird little voice. That's what was being talked about, and everyone was like, "Let's fucking go!" Okay,
Yeah,
that just seems to be the thing. And the fact that you said Tom Hardy has really got me fucked up because I hate when Tom Hardy does the weird little voice. Like I think mainly because it looks like every voice Tom Hardy chooses should not be coming out of his face. With
Yeah.
respect. With respect. But for some reason Robert Pattinson just has this look that like anytime he does a weird accent, you're like, yeah, of course he looks and sounds like that. Like
Yeah.
when he was the French king or whatever in that Chalamet movie, The King or whatever.
The King, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, people talked about it then too. Basically, anytime he comes out with like a weird voice, everyone
Danny
seems to
Little
go.
Cook.
And he
That's what he
did
says.
Lighthouse, which had a weird voice.
Yo,
Yeah.
could he be in
Um,
Dune 3? I think he could be in Dune 3.
Oh,
I
I
just
kind of
thought
thought
about
he
that.
was going to be in number 2. I thought because there were rumors at one point
As
where he was
like-
going to play Austin Butler's
Yeah, I was going to say,
Character.
what's his name?
Fade
Fade.
Routher.
Yeah. Now
That
I
would've
could have
been
seen
fun.
that. I could have
Yeah.
seen that. I liked Austin Butler in that role, but I could have seen him doing it.
It's like, well, for
The movie with Tom Hardy where he's like a pastor or whatever. You know what I mean?
Tom Holland, you mean?
Who did I say? Tom Hardy? Sorry, Tom
Yeah.
Holland. Yeah. That
Yeah.
Netflix preacher movie.
The Devil All
Where-
the Time. Yeah,
Yeah, he had a goofy voice in that movie.
he was
too.
great in
Okay.
that. Yeah, no,
Man,
yeah,
you
he's
got me
great.
fucked up thinking about him and Tom Hardy. 'cause, yeah, I just don't.
I
and
know
just
what you
never
mean,
really-
though,
I
Miguel.
never
I
really placed
do.
that.
I do know what you mean, and you know me, I'm always an advocate for Tom Hardy, but there is a delivery of that Tom Hardy sticks to that just makes it
A little hokey.
sometimes, yeah, a little hokey.
Kinda?
Like I rewatched Bike Riders recently, and
You had time to rewatch that movie?
yeah, it's a shorty, man. It's a shorty. It's like an hour and
I didn't even
40,
know-
maybe.
I didn't even know it was out.
Yeah, it's on Peacock. For our loyal listeners. But yeah, no, like it just like there are some times where it's just like just get the words out.
Yeah.
Just get it out. Just say what you're trying to say. But all that to say, Robert Pattinson, I'm here for it. Mickey 17.
What is this movie? Yeah, can someone tell me what this movie is?
Okay,
we've been
so
talking about
the-
this.
Sorry, we
Explain
got
to
a
the
little-
audience.
sorry,
You're
that's-
like, holy shit,
everyone's
what's
like,
this movie about?
What are you talking about?
Okay, so from IMDb, Mickey 17, known as an expendable, goes on a dangerous journey to colonize an ice planet. A return to speculative sci-fi fantasy for Bong Joon-ho.
Well, that's editorializing it.
A disposable crew
Get to
member on a space mission selected for dangerous tasks because he can be renewed if his body dies, with his memories largely intact. With one regeneration, though, things go very wrong.
The trailer starts with him getting his hand cut,
Yeah.
and so they're like, "Oh,
And that
no, what are
happened
we
so
gonna do?"
quickly. I was like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah, I thought he was going to be handless the whole time, but no, it's like, "Oh, we could fix that."
Yeah.
And this is kind of like Moon with Sam Rockwell. where I guess
kind of spoiling.
spoilers.
You're kind of spoiling
Sorry about
things
that,
there.
everybody. I'm so willing to talk about that. Yeah, spoilers, I guess, for Moon. But yeah, it's the same situation where you kind of get replicated.
There's a really good line, kind of, I think it's right after he gets his hand cut off, where he's like signing up for the job. I guess maybe it was before it, but she asks him like, "Do you know what you're signing up for?" And he was like, "Yeah," like, and then he dies, I guess, 17 times in this movie before we get to the plot point.
Yeah.
But no, I don't know. I was intrigued by this, and I think I was talking about last week or so that I was like, I'm not really into weird movies, like,
yeah.
I don't buy into them. I think the last time I tried a weird Pattinson movie was High Life. Do you guys remember that?
Yeah, that's a great
I don't know if-
time.
is
No,
weird
good
the
time.
right-
Oh no, wait, High Life is another one of his.
That's
Yeah,
another one.
Oh,
No,
I never
no,
saw
and-
that movie.
Listen,
That
Good
one
Time
is-
is Good Time is good. That's Uncut
Good
Gems
Time is
territory.
good, but that's more like grounded. But High Life is
High
fucked
Life
up.
is a
Well, I feel like
space
you watched
movie.
High Life because of space. That's mostly
Yeah.
why you watched it.
And and that's why I'm referencing it, is that I like space movies, but I just could never get into that one, and so. But for some reason, this one I was like, I see what they're doing. I'm into it. I like the director because I really liked Parasite. I thought that was a great movie. I was so happy.
Didn't.
I
You
was
know
so
what I
Ed
mean?
drugged me to see that movie in the theaters, and I was not really wanting to. But when I finally sat down and watched it, I was like, this was phenomenal.
And that was at
Uh,
a point where, like, you have that, dangerous word being thrown around. It, everybody was saying it's a masterpiece. It's phenomenal.
Oh, I was
And
like,
so we were trying to ignore the buzz, try to block out any reviews and stuff, like go into it blind.
Yeah,
And I just
yeah.
told him, like, I think we need to see this movie. And sure enough, yeah.
no, and it was
was good.
definitely a good time, and I appreciate because I saw a movie of his previously, what Snowpiercer. He did Snowpiercer,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm. Yeah.
And I hated that movie. I did not want to get into it. I couldn't buy into it at all. I talked about that movie with someone, and they were like, "Can you just like suspend your disbelief for a little bit?" And I was like, "No."
Help me,
But then
help me suspend it. Like,
But then yes, Ed, yes. But then I saw Parasite, and I just bought in right away.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I was intrigued with him coming back, especially with like the track record of Robert Pattinson recently.
yeah,
Like,
and
he is very intriguing. So
Yeah.
the couple
the rest-
together, I'm down.
sorry,
go.
the rest of this cast too. You've got Toni Collette, Mark Ruffalo, Stephen Yeun. Can't go wrong with those three. But beyond that, Naomi Aki,
She's
Angus
good too.
Emery, Steve Park, who's become like a Wes Anderson regular,
Uh-huh.
Patsy Ferran, and a bunch
You
of
could have
others.
stopped. You could have stopped. Honestly, with respect to everyone else, you could have stopped at Tony Collette, and there's
Robert
you
Pattinson
sold-
and Toni Collette.
You
Yeah.
sold me on the movie right there. She is so good. I don't
The
care
throw in
what
Mark
she's in.
Ruffalo, like, he's great lately. After Poor Things too, like, let him do all these weird roles.
Yeah,
I love it.
He's in his era.
Yeah, honestly.
He doesn't have to be the Hulk anymore. He can do. He can do. With respect, he can do other things now.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm interested. I'm intrigued. I want to see it. If I walk out of the theater at the end of the movie, Luis, if I walk out of this movie and I don't like it, then maybe I don't like it.
Yeah.
But I'm willing to give it a try. Is what I'm saying. So
So
here we
officially, it's still in post production. But
it'll get pushed. I would love it if it got pushed. You know what I mean? To maybe even the summer or something.
maybe if it. I mean, it's missing the festival circuit right now. A lot of people did have this kind of pegged for festivals this year, so it is interesting. But I think a large part of that also, because like a lot of people are saying, like, Bong Joon-ho is at odds with the studios over Final Cut, but he denied that. He said that's not the case. He just said post-production was they were taking their time with it. So
Should take some time.
yeah, so who knows? Maybe this will be like a real banger at the beginning of the new year. And that date, as of now, is January 31st.
I feel like maybe he is giving time for the VFX.
And they didn't look half bad in the trailer.
I'm not going to rush it. I'm not going to pull a Marvel
Agreed.
and try to rush it. So if he's like, I'm not going to try to get it in time. I want it to look good.
I think you can point to like some of those exceptions to the rule. But Everything Everywhere All at Once, didn't that come out in like February?
March,
Yep,
yeah.
it did.
Oh, it came. Well, so March is a little later in the year, but still,
It's
like that
the
early
next month from
the
February.
first couple of months. You know what I mean? If a movie like Everything Everywhere All at Once can be successful and then go on to win
whole
awards
year
at the
later,
next
yeah.
award season,
Yeah.
you know, it's like, okay, maybe if it's good enough, it'll have legs and carry itself to the award season.
Did you like that movie? I forget.
Everything Everywhere All at Once?
Yeah.
So that was one of the very first movies we ever watched on our podcast. I didn't see it at the time because I didn't have a job and I didn't have money to buy for movie tickets. But when I finally sat down and watched it, yeah, I did. I enjoyed it a lot.
That's a good one.
That's there you go.
All right. Well, that's the news, everybody. Unless we have anything else we need to talk about that I don't know about.
Nope.
Okay.
Okay. Well, before we get started into it, let's just go ahead. Ed, me. Let's say something nice. Luis.
What?
Louis, you did so
you
good.
won the summer movie wager. Okay.
Yes.
Good for you. And you
Yes,
know
sir.
what? No, I'm not being an asshole. Good for you. Okay. We all three have won the summer movie wager.
Now we've all done it. Now it doesn't matter if someone like has an empire.
The pressure is off. You guys remember the end of Dream scenario? His shoulders. That's the weight is lifted off of us. Okay. Like
I'm floating.
That's how we know Miguel watched it.
See, I had to go. I had to drop a little knowledge on you guys so that I could actually be on this podcast another week.
You just skipped to the end and you were just like, okay, and
I do that for books. I like to read the last page of every book I read. I'm not lying. Yeah. Just because sometimes I like to be like, because I think it doesn't make any sense when you read the last page of a book, but then when you finally get there, you're like, oh, I get it now.
But could the
It's
ending be that intriguing? I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
Like,
but no, I don't do that for movies. I because it's like a book is something I'm holding. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So just,
no, and you would actually have to be insane to actually do that.
No, that would be insane. Yeah.
Like,
But no, dream scenario. Luis, you picked this because you won the summer movie wager.
I did.
Congratulations.
Yes. I wanted to have a conversation starter kind of movie. You know, like a movie that we haven't seen, a movie that the public hasn't seen that much, a conversation starter, something that you don't see, whether good or bad, it's fine. I just wanted to get people riled up a little bit here. Good or bad, I wanted riled upness. This stars Nicolas Cage, and it's called Dream Scenario. It is came out 2023. Spoiler alert. Please watch it. If you haven't, then come back. It's actually really good to watch this movie not knowing anything. Miguel, did you know anything about this movie before watching it?
Zero.
Perfect. Ed, did you know anything about this movie before you watched it?
I knew a little bit, yeah.
Okay.
But based off
sorry.
of trailers, I didn't know any spoilers.
Oh, somebody watched the trailers.
This movie came out last year. It's a comedy, fantasy, horror movie, hour and 40 minutes long, bitch. Ooh. And this movie is about a family man who finds his life turned upside down when millions of strangers suddenly start seeing him in their dreams. However, when his nighttime appearance takes a nightmarish turn, he's forced to navigate the consequences of his newfound stardom. This is directed by Christopher Borgli, cinematographer Benjamin Loeb, and music by Owen Pallett.
I just want to say
all of those names up.
No, he nailed him. That was good.
.com.
I said
I just want to say it really helped that I did not watch the trailer for this movie, and that I had no idea going into it what it was.
That is the best.
It really was very helpful. I liked it because I know in context, right? Like Nicolas Cage is on this like run of movies. There's one side of it where he's just making movies to make movies, and then there's the other side where he's like really nailing these weird performances.
Kind of independent.
And going outside of not just his, but kind of our comfort zone for Nic Cage. You know what I mean? And that's all I knew going in. And I'll tell you more in a little bit how I felt about it.
I guess I'll go, right? Fuck it.
It's yours, so you should, I
didn't know anything about this movie there. I didn't watch a trailer. I just heard about it, and we saw it in Christmas with my in-laws, and we played it all the way through. And the feeling I kept getting was, one, I love absurdism. I love surrealism. And I was on the edge of my seat because I didn't know what was going to happen.
Yeah.
And Nicolas Cage is such a weird and captivating performer that I was just kind of, okay, I'm here. But what I really like about this movie is it just continues to yes and itself. into a deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper place. So by the time you get to like the halfway point or 3/4, like, dude, what the fuck is going to happen?
Yeah.
And I love that it continues to take this next step, the next step. And whether you like where it ends or not, I like that it just keeps going down the yes and route. And I notice I do like that a lot about movies in general. And I think Martin Scorsese does that a lot too. I was thinking about that. His movies just say yes and themselves until they reach a conclusion. And so it's not this like, here's the beginning and here's the middle and then here's the end. I mean, yes, it does have that. Like all movies have that in general. But this is something that I just thought it was like so absurd, so ridiculous. I liked the eerie tone of it all. And yeah, I just thought it gets even more insane as it goes on. But that's kind of my initial reaction. Then we can get into details later on.
Okay. I just wanted to comment on something you said. Is I think also what adds to that effect is like the cuts between scenes become a little like is sharper the right word? They just feel more blunt. No, blunt. I don't know. Sharper and blunt.
They have a staccato.
It's all of a sudden it becomes like, whoa, I've cut to a different scene, like in the middle of a dialogue. We're in the middle of a next dialogue kind of thing, you know?
Yeah.
And so I think that like really adds to the effect of like you don't feel that beginning, middle, end as clearly as you do in some movies.
Yeah. Because you're seeing the immediate fallout of that
kind of
what
every
just
decision.
Happened.
Yeah.
In a way, but like in a different totally. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm glad. I don't feel like I said that clearly, but I'm glad you guys understood what I was saying.
Totally.
Yeah. There's like the cutting of it all. But Ed, do you want to go next?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I watched the trailers when this movie because like when this movie came out, you know, it was that kind of quiet buzz about it. You know, it's like a movie that kind of nobody was expecting or talking about, and then it came out, and I think it hit a couple of festivals too. But everybody was talking about it. It's the net, and so many, like you were saying, Miguel, like a lot of just like handpicked movies in the last, let's say, 5 years, where people have just been like, Nicolas Cage is so fucking good.
He's fucking doing it.
He's just like he had Mandy, Pig, and then this.
With the unforgettable talent,
Long Legs, of course, earlier this year.
Right. He's got a run of movies that I need to now catch up on because
totally 1000%.
Now I get it. Sorry, go ahead, Ed.
Yeah. So that was like when I had watched the trailers, so I don't remember a whole lot about it, but I knew, and it has been on my list for a long time. Like a lot of people have recommended it to me. So yeah, I mean, to keep it brief before we get more into it, but like it lived up to that hype, in a good way. That like you said, I really didn't know where the story was going to go, and the way it starts out, and there are a lot of cuts where you do feel, or scenes rather, that build almost like a horror movie.
Totally.
Where you're just like, oh god, what is going to happen? Something terrible is about to happen.
You feel the dread.
Yeah, but actually, and it doesn't undercut it. I think it serves, everything kind of serves itself very well. It's just like it is actually a very hilarious movie, and that's what took me most by surprise. And yeah, like it is so easy to go from one movie to another when you're following like certain actors like Nic Cage and just like, oh yeah, this is like one of his best roles yet and whatever. But genuinely, I feel like this is one of my favorite.
Is one of his best.
One of my favorite Nic Cage roles. It's like he is just complete like. To talk about this movie, I watched Wild at Heart, which is a David Lynch movie that he did when he was way young. He was going through kind of like his Elvis phase, as some people call it. And it is just kind of wild to see that Nic Cage compared to this Nic Cage, and everything in between, in hindsight. Like, I feel like early 2000s to the 2010s, teens, he was the action guy. He was doing action stuff, not necessarily
Face Off,
good.
Con Air,
No, that was the 90s, baby. I'm talking about
exactly.
I'm talking about knowing the Sorcerer's Apprentice.
You know,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so this was, we're on the other side of that now, and these those kind of roles that he's doing. And this is it struck me a lot. I have Miguel. I know you haven't, but Luis, have you seen Pig?
No, I haven't seen it yet. I want to. I hear so many good things
because of this.
Yeah. Well, for starters, I will say it's a completely different vibe from this. It's not.
It's more gruesome, right? It's more like. Ugh.
But it is one of the checkpoints of Nic Cage doing
these kind of roles.
Different,
and it absolutely is. But it's not. It's not done for lulz or anything. But. Yeah, no, I mean, this just kind of made me appreciate him a lot more. But yeah, overall, I enjoyed the movie. I thought the whole cast was really good. I had some really fun and interesting ideas. Like you kind of alluded to, Luis, I feel like this could be divisive and just where, when it takes its left turns and stuff like that, it leaves you feeling one way and thinking it's gonna be this movie until it isn't, and then you're just well, I guess we're doing this now, kind of thing, and that could be jarring for some people. But overall, I mean, I think it worked for me. There are some sweet moments, some hilarious moments, some horrific moments. It's a bizarre little movie, but let's dig more into it. I enjoyed it overall. And I'm glad I finally had an excuse to watch it.
Miguel, what were your thoughts on it?
I've just been itching to tell you guys this. Okay, maybe one of the worst movies I've ever seen. No, could you imagine? I wish I had that hard stance to give you guys something good to talk about. But I was when it was finally over, I sat there and I went, I'm so happy that Luis picked this movie.
Okay, good.
I really did feel a lot of different things as I was watching it. I did watch it over 2 separate viewings. I did the first half, and then Luis yelled at me because I started watching it too soon. I was like, okay, well, let me pause.
Where did you pause it? I'm curious about where you stopped.
Oh man, it was almost exactly halfway. I like that. I really thought for the whole vibe of the movie where it shifts was kind of right where I paused.
Perfect.
And so when I picked it back up, I was already intrigued by the concept. Yeah. And then they were like, let's take it to the next level. And I was just like, oh, I'm so glad I didn't do this random 10 minutes in and stop it. I really gave it the first half and the second half.
Yeah.
And we'll get deeper into it. I feel like I'm so ready to talk about all the things that I personally was picking up on, but we're talking about left turns. I feel like the whole second half of the movie is we're shifting.
So well said, yeah.
And then by the end of it, you're like, holy shit, I need to kind of breathe because I can't believe we took that many turns. And the fact that some characters are kind of supportive of Paul, and then by the end of the movie, they're like, I really just need to distance myself from you.
Yeah.
And it was just there was a part of me that really didn't like the character, and a part of me that just felt such sadness for him,
yeah. Well, it's almost like a little bit of guilt because he so readily is that guy who you just kind of is forgettable. So mediocre despite his accomplishments, but he's just kind of a boring guy, and has his way of overthinking things, whenever his kids first start seeing him in his dreams, and they feel like they're in trouble, but he's not helping them in their dreams. So he's like, well, you don't actually think I would ever do that, right? It's all subconscious, self-conscious, insecurities and
insecurity.
Yeah. And it's that, you feel bad for him because, like, yeah, this is kind of fucked up, and he never asked for any of this, kind of thing.
Yeah.
The
But
way
then
he presents himself.
you
to
think about people who are super insecure about themselves for whatever reason. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It could be like their height or their look or their personality or whatever. And then people like get super honed in on whatever that insecurity is, and they make it about themselves. There's a really great moment. So he talks about his daughter's dream at the very beginning of the movie. You don't really think that I wouldn't help you, right? And then he runs into his ex-girlfriend at the play at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
And she has a line that is like, "Oh, are you still doing this?" Like when he reacts a certain way, she's like, "Are you still doing this?" And it's like, okay, you've been this insecure person all your life, where you could maybe as an audience member go, "Oh, you're like midlife crisis, like sad that you didn't do the things you wanted to do," and that's very relatable, right? Kind of, there's always a goal you don't achieve that everyone can kind of relate to. But his entire life has felt like, "Oh, I'm not living up to my potential."
Right.
And then it becomes like this like second layer of like, "Oh, well, maybe you're not living up to it because you're not actually doing what you should be doing," you know? No, sorry, I kind of went on a tangent, but I just thought like the theme of his insecurity is just like the way that they grow that throughout the entire movie.
And as you start diving deeper, you start seeing it throughout the movie, but how how he lashes out, how he is like, quote unquote, he acts like this good guy, but he's really like insecure and ready to lash and to attack.
He's a nice guy.
Yeah, exactly. And so he can get really mean, and it makes sense because as the movie progresses, we see that he takes a turn and he starts not only just showing up, in people's dreams, start attacking people in their dreams. And then there's that turn where it's just like everybody, he becomes a star, and then everybody turns on him, and they turn on him so deeply.
I just see the other thing is just like there's never a moment in the real world where I feel like Paul is mean to people. Yes, he does kind of like lash out in his own way, but it's more out of desperation. It's when he's in that dream state when he's lashing out that you're like, that's your true like inner self.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, oh, okay, you're not this, because like in real world, after the students, they hold that whole like therapy session in the gym, she says a specific phrase. She calls him like either harmless or careless or something. She kind of like minimalizes him. And I feel like that's who he is in real life. You know what I mean? He can't actually go beyond a certain thing. But then in the dream world, like that's his internal true self.
Yeah.
The monster that he is, the anger and sadness that he harnesses.
Or at least keeps bottled up.
Yes.
Because he's so desperately
like
amenable.
Right here,
he's trying to get everybody's approval, even his daughters, his wife,
the friend at the dinner party,
his friend at the dinner party, his ex-girlfriend. He's constantly worried about how people
he
feel
wants that approval.
Him.
You know what I mean?
And
it's like, my wife said like she was worried and that that you might still be into me. So I'm just wondering. She was wondering, not me. She was wondering, are you still into me? And she's like, what are you talking about? Because he wants a little bit of some like approval or notice or
And then immediately when he gets that celebrity, he like there's this sparkle in his eye, and it's like the only time in the entire movie. Yeah, he's like, oh, let's talk about me.
It's quickly snatched away, and even when he does start getting these things flooding to him, he fights it. He's just like, I'm not trying to be, Mr. Famous for a minute. Like, I just kind of want to use this to sell my book, which he hasn't written, but it's like
he has a concept of a plan.
He has a concept of a plan. Yes, but like that's the thing is like he thinks he needs to do that because that's what professors of his stature do. They sell books. They write these essays and they have them published, and he just has
an idea of what he should be based on
where he should
else.
be at. Exactly. But he just isn't. He should be getting invited to these dinner parties, but he's not.
Yes.
And so when people show him a single ounce of desire or admiration or just like curiosity even, he can't,
latches.
like anybody else would. He latches onto it, and naturally, like out of his own willpower, it just kind of quickly turns against him. And like as it's, you know, you feel frustrated for him because like, yeah, like he has no control of what people are dreaming about or why
I
any
think
of that would be happening.
I think there are certain turns in the movie when, like, first he's not doing anything in life, you know,
Right.
and so in people's dreams he's not doing anything, and he's upset about that. As he starts getting more fame, he starts getting curious, and he talks to his wife. It's like, oh, what would you think of in my dream? What would you think, you know? And then they start getting a little sexual, a little bit more like, ooh, you know, and he starts getting feisty, and that's when we introduce the other girl who starts having those sex dreams about him. And other people, it's kind of insinuated that other people now start having these sex dreams about him. And maybe the guy who attacked the house also, you know, was pissed off because, you know, his wife was having sex dreams about him. And so it's like, as his intentions are turning those dreams into reality. And then when he fucks up that interaction with that girl, he gets really angry with himself, and he gets the, like, I forget what he grabs. He has like an alarm clock or something, and he throws it, and you can just see him like upset, you know, and
Because
he's
he
upset with
can't, on top of the reality of the situation, which we got to talk about, but the disappointment that he knows that she got out of it.
That is the
just
thing.
like,
yes,
makes him irritable,
Yeah.
and then that irritation, that intention now transforms into the dream where his irritation comes out in dream form, attacking those people. You know, so it's following whatever he's kind of feeling.
Yeah, it's like it's a 1-2 punch for him. It's the failed sexual experience with the girl. Yeah. And it's also, he previously kind of confronted the whoever about writing that article.
Yes.
But then she actually publishes this is my theory on such and such, and he's like, I told you that was my thing. That was the next level. That was where it happened. It wasn't just this embarrassing sexual thing, because it's like, you could maybe get over that in time, right?
Yeah,
He's married. He has a whole life. He could maybe get over that.
Yeah,
but it was this specific thing that like sent him over the edge, and that's where the violence happened. And the fact that it was paired together too, right?
And the violence was just getting more violence. You know, the way that when he was getting ostracized, he was also becoming
angrier.
Angrier. And he's like, I'm not that guy. And then he became that guy, and it's just, and then I don't know. I mean, I want to jump to the ending part, but like, you know, they were like, you are scaring people. Like, you need to leave this restaurant right now. And he's like, I'm not doing anything wrong.
Yes. Okay. Like, I'm sorry. Like, when the world started shifting against him, you know what I mean? That was when I was kind of fighting myself, because I felt his pain in the moment at the restaurant specifically, right?
Because he is just sitting there.
He's just sitting there. And I'm not going to lie, like, it's kind of bullshit that she came up to him and said, you know, you need to leave because you're making people uncomfortable. But he's not doing anything.
Yeah. And that's
idea
entirely like, and that's the other thing too, is like, I mean, they allude to certain things that happen within these dreams. So you can only imagine what maybe other people are experiencing, but like, you don't know. It's very vague and unclear, just like how intense or how violent these nightmares are for these people.
Yeah.
But so like, he has no, not only control, but no possible.
It takes a life of its own. It's like, I think another thing to talk about is not just the character, but also society as well.
Yes.
And how,
we as like
how
an audience, we as an audience understand what's happening, right? Because we can see every time he has an emotion, the dreams escalate. You know what I mean? But he doesn't know that. He is not actually in these dreams. Well, as far as he knows, right? He's not actually in these dreams doing these things. He's just going to sleep, and he wakes up in the morning, and all of a sudden the world hates him. And that is kind of sucky. That kind of sucks in the moment. But then when you cut to, you know what I mean, these dreams and the violence that he's perpetrating, you understand why people are like, I really don't want you around. Mm-hmm. When they do the dinner scene with the dinners with the friend from college, right? And he's he gets people together. I loved that aspect. And no one shows up, but he like convinces his wife to like do the double date anyway.
Yeah.
And at one point, I don't want to. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to just like talk beats, but it's just the way that he was like so excited to be at that party, and she could not hate him anymore. The wife to be like, I don't, and she chokes on her food. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is such a cop out too. Like, right? Like a deliberate, like, they keep asking me questions. I'm just gonna choke, and then my husband's gonna try and help me, and then I'm gonna bite his head off. You know what I mean, though? Like it's just like a.
I don't know. I took that
a social tick as like she didn't know her way around it until she was just like, "Nah, I'm done. I can't do it anymore," kind of thing.
Yeah, but he even says, the husband in that scene, he even says like, I had to convince her to have this dinner. Like, there could have been a moment where they were like, "No, we're not doing it." You know, I don't know. It's one of those movies where every time someone kicked up about something, I was like, I kind of feel what you're saying. You know, like if I was imagine yourself every single night having a dream, the same dream, and this guy is violently attacking you, and all of a sudden he's like at your dinner table. You would be like, I kind of don't want you here. And that's the thing. Again, you feel for him because it's like he's not actually doing those things.
Yeah.
But you've painted this picture, and now I just can't have you in my circle.
And what does he love to do but apologize finally on the internet when he makes an apology?
Oh man. And here's the thing. So right before it, the guy is like, "No, you need to just leave." Right? Yeah. Then he goes home, and he's somehow convinced, I need to make this apology. He makes this apology. And a part of it is kind of like, you understand, like he's kind of like, I am also a victim of this thing.
Yeah.
And then as soon as it's done, oh man, this is what hurt the most. This was the
it cuts to his daughter,
both of his daughters, and they were like, the one girl that was depressed, she was like, I should just kill myself now. Let's just do it, you know. And then his wife being like, that I'm so embarrassed to be married to you, you know,
right now. Yeah.
Oh man, that is just one of those things I don't want to be.
Yeah. But it's also, equally as cruel because she was taking advantage of his situation to get her, like, rise in her company kind of thing. Like, his kids were using him to get credit at school.
Right?
Like, the eldest was starting to talk to a boy that she clearly liked. The youngest wanted him to start dropping him off at school, which broke my heart. It's like, if my kids start telling me, like, I don't know, you don't need to drop me off at school anymore.
You know,
I want mum to take me.
Can you drop me off down the street and I'll walk? You know,
yeah.
That's what I mean. Though is something that resonated with me is as a husband, as a father, and like, who cares about the rest of the world for a second? Like, you know, that the rest of the world is spinning. You know, but if in my own home, everyone who I love dearly was just kind of like, you embarrass me, that is heartbreaking. And that's what made me feel for him, because again, part of it is like, he's not purposefully doing anything, but then all the actions he chooses to do, it's like, oh yeah, you are kind of fucking this up. Like, all you have to do is just not be insecure and so self-centered. Like, just imagine how other people feel and stop doing what you're doing, you know.
It's this idea of like, when you get I forget where, but it's like, if you get these superpowers, it just brings out the worst, like Captain America, you know what I mean? When he got the serum, it brings out the best of you, or if you're a terrible person, to bring out the worst of you. And so it's this idea of like, fame will finally pull out, your kind of subconscious or who you are as a person. And we get to see how he reacts to all these situations. And he's a little bit more concerned about himself than other people, more in the concern of his family. And so we just see it kind of take a very like vicious spiral. But we did get some very funny visuals out of it. We got also the gym full of traumatized students who didn't want anything to do with him. And then we had the therapist be there like, hey, it's okay, we're going to bring him in. And he just slowly walks into frame. I thought that whole like beat was really funny. It just gave a lot of opportunity for really like funny imagery that I enjoyed.
Yeah.
I think it's crazy that you guys are saying funny. I just never really laughed.
Oh, okay.
Oh man, I thought it was hilarious.
Not that I think that you're wrong. I just felt like I just felt so much dread every scene.
Yeah,
you know?
no, that's true. The first time around, I really was like, it was like peeking around every corner, like not knowing what was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But then these things would happen. I was like, oh my god, that's hilarious. But like, it would have been, I would have been very curious to have seen it in a theater with an audience, you know.
That's
get
so
more
true.
about
That's
reaction.
so true. That does kind of paint a different picture.
Yeah, but that's to say, like, seeing this for the first time, even, and I mean, me barely knowing a little bit more about it than you did, Miguel, is like, you know, it was still that, like, the way it's portrayed is like, at first, especially in the opening, it's very uneasy, unsettling, and you're like, there are those kind of like weird cuts, and then when you get that first intruder who breaks into their house after that like goofy little flirting scene, but it got like really real for a minute there.
Another really great moment, because every line of dialogue he has where he's trying to like paint this version of himself. Let me take a step back. The girl, the daughter in the beginning, she has the dream, and he goes like, "Do you really think like I wouldn't do anything? Like I wouldn't help you?" And the moment his family is in danger, this man breaks into his house. The wife has to even say, "Do something," and he doesn't. And it's like, they do such a good job about every time he tells you, "Well, no, of course I would do this." They give him a situation where he doesn't. You know?
Of course, it wouldn't be aggressive. And then at the very end, when he's trying to see his kids play or whatever.
Oh,
that
can
was
I say
crazy.
That? Can I say real quick? All right, Luis, I want you to know one thing.
Okay.
I watched this last night, and I was building a crib whilst I was watching it. And then, what did you think I was going to say?
Sorry, with respect, I thought you were going to say Lego.
I was going to say Lego too.
I appreciate
two things. If you say "with respect" again, I'm going to assume that you're not trying to be respectful.
No, that's fair. That's fair. That's fair.
But with respect, you know what I mean?
But with respect, go fuck yourself. So I watched it last night, but then I watched it again today. And genuinely, though, that door opens, like the woman's on this side, the door opens this way to her. That's silly. I mean, that woman put her hand right in the crack, and Nicolas Cage was clearly trying to push it. She put her hand in the crack on the inside of the door. I mean, like, that's not his fault. Like, yes, was he like breaking in?
But feels like you're doing a lot of victim blaming. Okay, I don't know. I kind of got
in that scene. I do believe Nicolas Cage was the victim, but like,
I think that's what this movie does in a good way, where it's like you're kind of
it's cancel culture, right? That's the main.
You're also
that's the main. Like they talk about the hilarious turnover from when people started seeing him as an aggressor, and like, by the way, like, give all the awards to Michael Cera. I loved him in this movie. When he showed up as that CEO of Thoughts. Like some of the coolest backdrops and shots of people up against that, like just that big banner of Thoughts. But when they were just like, well, you know, don't be mad, but you know, we think maybe we could get you on Joe Rogan. And I did just talk to Tucker Carlson too. It's just like listing off all of these fucking,
very believable too.
Right wing, definitely conspiracy heavy platforms. But it was just like, oof, buddy.
If we're talking about the end for a second, he tries to go see her play, his daughter's play, and they've told him, they've already set up previously in a scene or two before that you can't come because people are uncomfortable, and that's been a theme of like the second half of the movie, right? People are uncomfortable, we don't want you around, and that's become like a hill he wants to die on. I feel like his wife even says that at one point.
Oh, literally, yeah. Don't make us all die on that hill.
Yes, but when
just so you can make a point.
Up, and he has that back and forth at the door, and he slams the door, or the door gets slammed. I didn't really.
It's a little ambiguous, I think, on purpose too.
Yes. But she gets her finger cut off. The teacher gets her finger cut off or whatever. I jaw on the floor. I was locked in. I was like, I am not doing anything else until I see what happens.
I honestly thought that crowd, and again, testament to just not this film being able to just like keep you guessing all the time.
Yeah.
But I definitely thought like that audience was literally about to tear him apart. Like I thought they were gonna like take him to the stake and burn him at that point.
Because
honestly.
he has that very last scene or two. He has that dream of himself getting attacked, and there's even a moment where he's in the play, right, and he gets kind of ripped apart or whatever.
And he saves his. There's that scene literally at the end where I assume it's a dream scenario, quote unquote, but like he's saving his wife from like a burning pyre.
Oh man,
yeah,
kind of thing.
We're jumping ahead. That scene is also really good.
Well, we got to talk about the setup for that scene which is also this movie takes a completely like loop-de-loop turn.
Man. So there was sorry, Ed. I do want to get to what you're talking about. I'm going to take a half step back.
I did jump to the end, but like, sorry, we were just talking about like the audience reaction in that theater where he breaks in.
She gets her again. He's breaking in because he's like, "That is my daughter." This is where these moments where I felt a dad. You know what I mean? Like, you're not gonna. What do you mean I can't see my child? And I feel like that's really hard. That's like taking a step out of a movie for a second, like a divorcee or whatever. Like when you have to deal with these like boundaries that get drawn that aren't really your boundaries, but they're someone else's. And you have to like respect this world, but you're like, but that is my child. Like that is my human child that you know what I mean? I've raised, and you're not, who are you to tell me I can't see who, anyway, I understand that conflict, but anyway, he rushes into this theater. He slams the door, whatever. The lady gets her finger cut off. I loved her reaction because up until that moment, every time he attacks someone in a dream, as the audience, you go, oh, okay, it's just a dream.
Yeah.
And there were even some moments where you were like, whoa, what's happening? And then you go, oh, wait a second, it's a dream.
Yeah.
You know? And in that one moment, for me personally, I had to be like, well, are we dreaming right now? And then they were like, no, you're not fucking dreaming. This is real shit. He legitimately harmed her. And her line of dialogue, first off, she's doing this like breathing where she's like reacting to the fact, like she's in shock that her fingers have been cut off. But then she says, like, he attacked me. And it was like, as soon as she said that, everything becomes real.
Yeah.
Everything becomes real. Every single person, which is in the thousands or hundreds of thousands or whoever have dreamed about him hurting them, they all go, he actually hurt someone. And I was therefore justified by being scared of him, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, man. It was just like a very clear shift how I reacted to the character.
This movie does a good job at doing those kinds of shifts. Like several points throughout the movie, you're thinking like, oh, it's going this way. And then all of a sudden, nope, and there are points where, and I was literally like kind of just scrolling through the movie trying to pinpoint like where like people started flipping from positive dreams, or rather just neutral dreams where he just shows up and nothing happens, to where he starts becoming the violent one. It's after that initial humiliation, not only with the sexual reenactment that girl puts him through, but also the meeting, which I thought was like a great scene because it's maybe about 10 minutes long, just that scene in the conference room at Thoughts. And the way it just like builds and then unravels and unwinds, and then there's like a pause to catch your breath when Michael Cera faces the window, thinking about like how he's going to pivot.
How do I do this?
Yeah. But like that moment, I just like cracked me up. But like that whole build up of that scene was so wonderfully orchestrated. But then that tonal, maybe not tonal, because the movie feels whole throughout, but more of just like the dynamic, I guess. The vibe
shifted.
And that's when it started going a little icky, a little negative and aggressive, eventually.
I also think, just like to speak about his like insecurities, because he's always like chosen the wrong path in his life, right? That's what the vibe you get about his character. They kind of served him up with some gold when they first met him, and they were like, Sprite wants to do this whole thing.
Yeah,
this sounds so fucking silly, but Sprite wants you to jump in there, and this is, now I realize it's foreshadowing, but Sprite
Me
wants
too.
you to.
Now I realize that. Yeah.
Sprite wants you to jump into people's dreams and hold a can of Sprite. And that whole at the time, every time he was in a dream, he was in the corner or in the background, not doing anything. And I was like, yo, I kind of fuck with that vibe heavy. Like just him in the background, and you're like, oh my god, there's someone in this room, but he drinks a Sprite all of a sudden. And then you wake up in the morning
and
and
that's
you
what
go,
they're trying to do is instill that image, like day
Yes.
to day, just have him in a different kind of pose or whatever, holding a
I
can
was
of
like,
Sprite.
yes, and then like, yes, get him in Obama's dreams drinking a Sprite. Like, I legit understood the vision of what they were doing, but he was like, I want to write a book, and they were like, I mean, okay, dude, like just like vibe with us for a second because we can make something happen. And
But
that
Gal,
was
are you siding with the fucking
no, I'm more so saying
corporate?
in his endeavor to
Yeah.
and his ambitions to be bigger than what he is, they were handing him a golden opportunity
Sure.
to actually make that happen. But he was so like egotistical in a way, and also like shrouded in like insecurity that
Well,
he just couldn't.
self-importance, I guess.
Yes, yeah, like he could not do.
Yeah. I
the
mean, because
goofy thing.
he went in there hoping to, and I'm sure this was like stemming from his failure to confront his colleague about her project that she was publishing.
Ugh.
And that just kind of stemmed into what that became. But he went in there with, in his mind, his noble cause. He wanted to take advantage of the moment to facilitate his whole life's work.
Yes,
But at the same time, it becomes like right from the off, it is clear that he has a book in mind, but again, a concept of an idea or a plan. He hasn't written the book or anything. He's coined maybe a couple of phrases here and there, but
man.
you feel, it's
Talk
just
about
like
foreshadowing.
then he going through with recording his conversation only to play it back and then realize how inadequate he is.
I love that.
It's just like
when he tells her like, I fucking came up with this idea, and she was like, it's one thing to talk about it.
Yeah, but like some
I
people
actually
do the work.
I
Did
put
the
in the work.
Yeah.
Oh man, I was
he
like,
is
dude.
he is a product of his own lack of success. Like in that, like he got to professor, and that's where it stopped. Clearly, he has a good marriage with his wife up until all of this stuff happening.
Hey, I had a question. I had a question about the family dynamic that I felt like by the end I didn't realize I didn't have a clear handle on. Are both those girls his daughters?
I think so.
Yeah.
I interpreted it as the older daughter was like from a previous marriage up until the end of the movie, that the wife said something that I was like, oh, I guess that is his whole family, because there was a way he gave so much attention to the younger daughter.
Right.
And there was a couple of, it's not very clear, but there was a couple of moments where he was like, I don't really want to talk to you, to the older daughter. And I interpreted it as like, I married into this situation and then my wife and I had a daughter, but you're also here.
I just took it more as like it was the older younger daughter dynamic. Like the younger daughter
and the older
is
one's
still
lashing out.
The older one's lashing out. She's already kind of like cut herself off emotionally from her family, and the younger one is kind of like the last hanging hope of interaction and engagement
She still
with his
loves her
kids.
dad,
Exactly. That's all I took out of him.
It's so
And
hard.
he plays the pathetic dad so well. Is the great thing about this. Like, if you did a double feature of Dream Scenario and like Long Legs or Wild at Heart,
Ooh,
like I mentioned earlier, I was just like, so it's mind blowing what he accomplishes with both of these movies alone.
I felt bad because like the older daughter, like I said, she always kind of had this animosity or whatever. She just didn't like him,
right?
And so like when he has that like apology or whatever, she's like, I'm just gonna have to kill myself now. And then the other daughter was like, oh my god, what are you doing?
Why is he doing this?
Oh no. And then the wife in between both of them, and then she comes out and is like, I'm embarrassed to be married to you. I was just like, dude, you could not be making the worst move every single.
Well, you
step
say
of the way.
Yeah.
you do think that, but it's like when you're pushed to those limits. That's the other thing too. And I think what this movie is trying to say about cancel culture is that it is very much just like going
This
with the crowd,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
this
Like,
was this was one
they
of those
point-
movies. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, no, go ahead.
This is one of those movies that I feel like, depending on your like view of the situation, this movie could really bring in both the right wing and the left wing audience. You know what
Totally.
I mean? Like
Yeah.
they're like, yeah, that's what it means to be fucking canceled. I agree with Nicolas Cage. You're like, okay, yeah, I hear what you're saying, but
Yeah.
also, he is kind of violent.
In dreams again. Like, I know that's the line that this movie is drawing, but like it is like very much like a bandwagon kind of thing. Like they even mention at one point early on, I think, that like he's not showing up in everybody's dreams, but because people are pointing it out, that people are going to him as like this figure of this meme, this thing, like this guy.
It takes a life of its own.
Yeah, this
what I mean?
guy
It's
shows
it's no
up
longer
at the
about
bar.
you. It's about the culture's idea of you. And
Yeah,
then
exactly.
Our response to that
to
idea. Yeah.
such an extent, like, yeah, he's in a bar and somebody comes in dressed as him.
Oh, that's such a Ed, I'm so glad you said that. That is such a great example of how this movie, in very small moments, paints a big picture.
Yeah,
Like they don't do that ever
Of,
again throughout the whole movie, but
yeah.
you understand in that very quick cut to that shot
yeah,
what's happening. It's a worldly event.
yeah. But like for a moment before the rest of the world has moved on, including like tragically his own fucking family.
There was
As soon as his wife's job, started going downhill, she was just like, "Wow, fuck this."
Oh, I think it was that, and it was also the school. The school
And the
coming in
school.
and being like, "You're really embarrassing your daughter. We need you
And
not
also
to be here."
him lashing out at her, just like, "I just shut the fuck up," or whatever about it.
Yeah.
Um,
Sorry, I
yeah.
wanted to bounce back at what Miguel was saying about the whole think it is. There's a line when Tim Meadows, he's the president, the principal or whatever,
Yeah.
the headmaster of
Yeah.
the school, and he's like, everybody's having these dreams. It's not my fault. Blah blah blah. And it's like, well, of course everyone's having these dreams. You're everywhere on the internet. Of course, people are just thinking about you. And I thought that was so interesting too, because it's like once this thing gets big enough, it escapes even the idea of you.
The original thing.
Well, it's like
thing is
any
now gone.
Yeah.
any kind of fad, like just if you feel on the outside of it, you're going to want to be a part of it, kind of thing. If you
and then you become a part of it just by being like surrounding yourself
associated, like it could just be your friend who had those dreams,
it's like
but you
phase
feel
two.
he says it like trauma is like cheap, or like everybody's traumatized by something these days, kind of. I'm not verbatim, obviously, but that he points that out.
He makes a point where he's like, yeah, they're traumatized by, basically he's saying emotions, or if they get disciplined once, they're traumatized,
right?
And that is where I was like, oh, this is kind of like right leaning, like it can bring in couple different sides.
Well, it's right. Yeah. No, it just feels that way because that's what that line is. Because today everybody is so angry all the time. It is so black and white, or it's painted as such. But we've lost that middle area. Everybody has to be angry all the time about something.
Yeah, exactly. There's no nuance now. There's no one sticking up for him. Everyone's just like completely out of here.
And that's
I understood the moment where all of the students were like, they had the whole moment where they were having the bad dreams, they had the therapy, and then he walks out to his car and they vandalized his car.
Yeah.
And he was like, who did this? And it's a good moment. He's like, who the fuck did this or whatever. But then the whole crowd of kids goes, you should just quit. Why are you even here?
Yeah.
And I do understand that, because it's like, okay, like, he's a grown adult with a family and kids, and he like has a job, and he's like dedicated his life to education. and
It's
they
got
still
tenure,
go
right?
right, and
Yeah.
they still go like, you should just quit because I don't like you, and it's
Yeah.
like, okay, you just got here.
Yeah.
In the grand
you'll
scheme
be
of things,
you'll be
that's
gone in
the-
4 years or whatever.
but he still has to like usher in these like new minds,
Yeah.
and so it's like, okay, I see what they're the line to what you're saying, Ed, the line that they're painting. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
It's that's kind of like the brilliance all the way through with it. And but also like the whole time, even if you feel angry at Nic Cage, like he certainly gets it handed to him. Like even at the end, like insults of all insults, I cracked up when he goes to France for his book publishing, and they take him all the way down to the basement, and he signing books, and of course, wouldn't you know it, the ceiling comes down and the light hits him on the head and gives him the monkey.
I had a very I was curious about that moment because he gets hit at the diner or whatever. He throws the food and the guy punches him, and he gets a scar or whatever on his forehead. And then shortly after that, the dreams stop. And then he goes to France. He does this thing, and he gets hit by that light, and it's in the exact same spot. And if you think about like a football player with CTE, you know what I mean, who's like getting all this like head injuries, I started to wonder, because that was the big question, right? Why is this happening? Why is he allowed to go into people's dreams? And then they talk about it later, but it's just like, is there something going on physically, or is it just like this metaphysical thing?
Yeah.
And I'm just curious if you guys felt anything about that, or if
I assumed it was kind of like the latter, like I don't know what that phenomenon is called, but the Groundhog Day thing, where this thing is happening, you don't know why, and the movie doesn't go out of its way to explain why. You're just on the journey, waiting to see where it goes, kind of thing. I don't know. I just assumed it was just kind of like this inexplicable thing that happened that somehow people were able to harness, kind of like I forget the actor's name, but Greg from Succession.
Oh.
When he
Can we talk about this?
Okay, yeah, we should jump into this part.
Okay. Well, let me finish my thought real quick.
Okay, sorry.
There's a sharp turn where all of a sudden it's they have this like wristband watch thing, that product that basically it inserts you into somebody's dream if they're thinking about you or something like that, or it's
called Norio, and what it does, it prevents nightmares. So everybody who's had a traumatic event with him, if you wear this device, you will no longer have nightmares, but you can also travel into other people's dreams.
And he was like, well, because Paul stumbled across this, albeit accidentally,
they were able to capitalize on it.
Exactly, which is what Michael Cera was trying to do. Obviously, he had that first. Go ahead, Miguel. Get it out.
No, I'm sorry. I'm trying to let you finish.
No, that's it.
No, Michael Cera did. I see what you're saying. Like he tried to, but he didn't have the tools necessary. And then this other guy, Greg from Succession, sorry, like he found a way to actually harness it. And then they have this whole this, of all the things in the movie, this was the thing that pissed me off the most. I hated that they were like, anyway, yeah, like I'm a dreamfluencer. Like there was this whole like social aspect, which would have been fine if it was just that. But then they were like,
full of denim clad kids.
But then they were like, oh, but with this device, like, yeah, it's like ads in your dreams. Hated it. And then they were like, yeah, people can just come in, and if you don't have like explicit consent, they'll leave. But then when they jump into Nic Cage's dreams and he goes, I don't want this, leave, they're like, no, hang on. We're going to hang out for a second. Don't hurt him. We're going to give you another ad. And I just got angrier and angrier and angrier.
You know what pissed me off about that too was just like how these influencers, some influencers, obviously some are very talented or whatever, but some aren't. And it's just like, this guy can't even do an ad read in this dream influence. Like, oh, I'm sorry, can I do it again? And it's like, what the hell?
Bro.
Why is this guy
Costco guys all over again?
Yeah, why is this guy getting the space to do all this? Because of his, the look. You know what I mean? He's got a look.
Perseverance, repetition. These guys had nothing else to do, kind of thing. We're going down a deeper hole right
here. It does, and that's what I feel like.
Yeah. No, that was that one scene in particular. I do feel like was that like very fine line of just like I don't know where this is going, and I'm not sure if I like it.
So not only was it the social aspect, because like I already say this so many times, like I hate content. You know what I mean? Like when people are like, "Let me sell you this thing." I know what's going on. Okay. But there was also this moment where they cut to Greg from Succession, and he's like, he's the CEO of this Nurio, and he can do all these things. And then they very quickly say this one line, oh, he's jumping into this dream of this like 17-year-old boy in Korea or whatever. Yeah. And they move on from that and whatever, but it's like there is some kind of like predatory like
I think that was the implication, right?
Right? It's like, yeah, it's not just, oh, we're selling ads. It's like, whoa. Like, this is getting deeper and darker. But
it's already lost control.
The entire time, they're like, oh, well, Nic Cage's character, Paul, they're like, oh, well, Paul, really sullied the name of this whole dream thing because he fucked up so hard. But it's like, but what was that guy doing in that dream that we never see? You know? Like, what are you doing in so-and-so's dream that we never see?
Which,
and it just,
yeah. And again, it's like Paul didn't know when it started, didn't know how it started, didn't know why or any of that, and like any average Joe in his shoes,
that's why
tried to take advantage of it, but because he was so inadequate as a human being, he couldn't do it. But that's the beauty of that setup of his character. It's just like. He had the most wonderful power, if you want to call it that, just like this brief moment, and that's why he goes into thoughts, thinking he's like has the upper hand, he's going to be handed everything, and then all of a sudden it's like people aren't interested about what you're about. It's what you're doing
happening.
Or what you're involved in. That whatever.
That's why,
for whatever reason, it's happening, but we're going to bank on it.
That's why I felt so bad for him.
He botched that,
Yeah.
When he had his apology, I kind of legit felt bad for him because he was like, I am the victim of this too.
I did. That it's so harshly undercut.
His wife goes, I'm embarrassed by you. Why would you say that? And I was like, I don't know. I kind of felt like he was being sincere in that moment.
I think, okay, with the apology part, I felt like the beginning started off very sincere and genuine, but then it started going to this place where it's like, I feel your trauma too, because I had a dream where I was hurting myself.
I'm the same way.
Which I understand where he's coming from, but also there was a lack of understanding of where these people were coming from. So it wasn't said very well, Again,
but true to his character, because he's
his character. Yeah,
he's been doing that all along. He's like, I would never do that.
And you can kind of see where it's coming from. He's kind of genuine, but he's also his foundation is not. Is
genuine.
Not good. Genuine.
Yeah. Like his whole persona is kind of disingenuous. He's timid. He covets like the kind of attention that all these other people want, and he feeds on that attention. Like as soon as his ex-girlfriend came into the picture, like he handled it about as well as I think anybody would in that situation, but at the same time there's that human instinct was just like, well, might as well see what it's all about, right? Kind of thing, and seeing what it grows out to be. And then you see his own disappointment when he starts taking anecdotes in his classroom about everything that's going on, and when he's finding like that he's just kind of like a passive observer in all of these dreams, and then that's why he blows it so hard when there's like an actual interaction where in the one dream where he's actually done something. And I mean, like, man, I cracked up with that shit. I was just like, did he just fart? and then just come and then fart again. And it's just like so good. And great sound editing, by the way. And I know this is such a cliche only because I have talked about farts a lot in this pod lately. So it's not about that. It's just like good. 4 stars, perfectly timed fart.
Farts.
Wow, that echo too. Like that was like in a tunnel. But yeah, no, man, it was so brutal though. Just like the ultimate crushing fucking realization. It's just like, oh, I can't do this shit. And like, oh, my body is letting me down.
Yeah.
And on every level, from my ass to my dick to my mouth. Like I just can't say, do, or yeah.
Yeah.
Man.
Wow,
Great
yeah,
moment. There are so many quote unquote set pieces. Like I was saying, the conference room, that scene, that one in the gymnasium with all the traumatized kids, like the staging of it all, right? Or what's the blocking? You know,
the blocking and the composition. Like then you cut to like a really wide shot, and it's just like him in the far corner and the other kids in the other. Like that's really funny. You know,
but it's also true to the dreams they've been seeing, because like up until that point, every time he comes into a dream, he's like far away and comes into the dream, and it's a very realistic thing that those kids were like, oh, whoa, I'm actually am traumatized by what you're doing right now. Don't get closer to me.
You start to see the blend of dream and reality in just the blocking and the staging. You know, you see it like, oh, I'm going to construct it with that girl, and then you start seeing, oh no, now it's art imitates life, or dream imitates life, or life imitates dream. You know, there's that blend until it finally happens where he quote unquote hurts her, and then now the worlds have completely combined over.
And even with his daughter, like when he's having that conversation with her about dreams and stuff, but she's automatically having these like flash cuts to her nightmares where he would come running down the hall, and that's what she's worried about, and he's right there at the end of the bed. Like, how terrifying is that? Like, I mean, for like a parent and a child, like, why would I? Oof. But yeah, it is that.
This was Luis. I got to give it to you.
This is a shit suggestion.
Go fuck yourself, Luis. Go win the movie wager. Who gives a shit? No, this is like one of the first movies. First off, it's weird, and I don't normally subscribe to weird movies, but this is the first movie in a while that I was like, I definitely want to watch this again, like kind of immediately, you know. So good job, you did it.
No, yeah, I'm really happy with the conversation we had. I mean, you guys really went at it, and I'm. This is exactly why I thought this movie would be perfect. It's just such a good conversation starter, and you can dive deeper and deeper and deeper into all these topics, from like him as a person, the movie itself, to the social implications, to where it's turning to. I mean, I wanted to kind of mention one last thing, and it's near the ending of the movie, but you know, he starts off the movie without his own, power. He's going into people's dreams, but then at the end, he is trying to go into his wife's dream using that new device, where he's really trying. And then we have kind of this sort of sweet moment where they kind of reunite. And then he starts lifting away, and he ends the line, I wish this was real.
I wish this was real.
And the thing is like, and then this becomes like, more moral of the story. But like, it was real at some point at the very beginning of the movie when they were living in this big ass house too. I was like, God damn, how nice was this house?
All you had to do was embrace your life. You know?
I've got a question. Okay, that was one thing that perplexed me a little bit, but I also kind of loved how it was played out. But so like it's a couple of scenes back to back of interactions between him and his wife and kids, I guess. But because it ends on the wife, I guess that's more important. But like they're like he's dropping the kids off and they're talking in the driveway.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's making those kind of exchanges of like maybe reality and what is a dream. Do you think that she because and I felt like really moved in that moment, like it's almost like she's just kind of wished that he would be something more to bring them back together, as opposed to Like she was holding back, like just instead of just giving in to his usual self, like being that guy with the big shoulders, being outlandish, something more exciting that turned her on or whatever.
I think you bring up a really good point because it is like we've been having these nightmares and dreams, and this is like a daydream that we get.
Yeah.
And there is a situation where you kind of see them sort of starting to connect, and that blends really well into the daydream aspect. But when you get out of it, he is into it, but she is not into it.
Yeah, that's interesting because I feel like he's the one daydreaming in that moment, right? And I feel like they solidify that later when he has that dream at the end where he goes, I wish this was real, because that's like the true dream of it all. He wants his family back. And in that moment, he says something like, are you seeing me in my dreams? Why do you keep asking me that? She says. And then they have that moment where they've got these like tears in their eyes and they embrace on their hands.
I do think that he maybe got into her dreams at that last scene for sure. I do think that
on the last one,
yes. Because he does ask her, right?
He's but daydream is his.
But I mean, leading into it, that's his daydream of it.
Yeah,
and, and she's telling him, "No, you can leave. Like, I'll see you after you get back."
Yeah,
that's genuine. That's her being like, "I don't want you around," but he wants it. And then they connect in the dream at the very end because he comes into her dream and her dream is she's surrounded by fire, right?
Yeah.
Like she feels like surrounded by the hate or whatever. Or the overall whatever is happening to her. And he brings her out of that and they have this sweet moment. And that's them together. To me, that's how I read it. Was like that was when they were truly connected for one last time.
Yeah.
And then he floats away because he doesn't
say goodbye.
They don't actually go together,
Yeah.
I don't know, Luis. I could watch this movie about 3 more times.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm glad.
I'm already on twice, but now I want to watch it with Sarah.
It's so fun. I mean, this is a movie I would love to do something like this. Like
same, Ed. I want to tell my wife. I want to be like, hey, I think we should watch this movie. Like,
I want to hear your interpretation.
Yeah, because I see it one way, but it clearly like people interpret it their own. So
yeah. Well, Dream Scenario, it's out on Max. If you've seen it once and you want to see it again, check it out on Max.
Let us know what you think about the ending.
Exactly.
Like,
where can they tell us?
On at Punch Drunk Nerd on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and/or X, and every other social media you could think of, or just like and subscribe where you can find your podcasts, like Spotify, YouTube, or Apple Music.
There you go.
Damn, man, that's
he brought it in. He brought it in right at the end.
I'm just gonna.
we could almost end the episode right there.
And I'm Ed Bull. Thank you.
Now we got our What We're Into segment, and I think we're going to keep this short, keep it tight at the last part, but something big happened, and it's what I've been into, and I know a lot of people have been into it.
It's dominated our chat.
iOS 8.
Sorry.
Dominated our chat. No, it did. iOS 18's here, and you're like, what is that? That's the new update for the iPhone, and you're like, who cares? Did anything new come out? I thought so. So we're going to talk about that. I think first off, the best way to introduce it is just to get your reactions on it on iOS 18. Like, welcome. Well, what is it like? You've entered into this new place.
So my genuine reaction is simply just the fact that Ed updated his phone to iOS 18. Okay, like first off, he has a phone that could update that far, and he actually did it. And
I don't know. I was really proud of you.
Ed, was it something? Did you do it because we talked about it, or because you had already done it?
As soon as you guys pointed out that it was the italicized text, I was here for it. I've been waiting for that for months.
We talked about that in a previous episode.
And I love that for my future text. Like, everybody who ever texts me, get ready. But no. But also, more annoyingly, because one, our text between us, because you guys updated, I was starting to get texts saying Luis reacted such and such to this text, and
that's so we should explain what's happening here.
Please do, because if it's just like a ploy to get everybody to update by increasing.
There are a couple things that are happening. There are a couple a couple health benefits, other safety benefits, and a couple fun benefits that are happening that I'll talk about. But like Ed was alluding to, yes, you can now. There's now rich format texting on your phone. So if you ever felt like you wanted to italicize something to make a sarcastic point, bold something, underline, you can do that now with the new iOS 18. They even have all these like little fun little like wiggly wigglies, like text can jump around and stuff. But for the most part, for the most part, if you want to italicize and bold to make a point, you can. Another thing, what Ed was alluding to again is, when you react to a text and you text your dad something and he just gives it a thumbs up, or you talk to a loved one and you say, I love you. And then they react with a heart, reaction. It's and you're only given a limited amount of reactions: thumbs up, heart, exclamation mark, question mark, and I think that's thumbs it, down. Right?
Yeah,
thumbs down, right? Yeah, thumbs down. Yeah. Those are the only 5 you have. Well, they opened up the floodgates to every emoji you can think of. So let's say none of those 5 really kind of express how you're feeling. Mm-hmm. So now you can choose any emotion and any emoji you want to react back. And so we were doing that, me and Miguel, in our chats, and Ed didn't update yet. And so what he was getting on his end was Miguel reacted with peace sign to this message, and he didn't know what was going on.
Right. Kind of like when you're texting a green bubble phone.
Yes, Ed, baby. Yes.
But I was just like, man, they really cut us poor folks down who don't update.
No, hang on a second, because I feel like I'm getting grouped in with like Supreme Luis on this. I
was talking about Apple in general.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to say
I was talking about Apple in general.
I texted a screenshot because Luis was like, reacted this. And I was like, what is this fucking Samsung ass text that I'm getting right now in the blue chat? Because I was like, what is this shit? And then Luis was like, oh, I got that new. And then I was like, oh, he updated it, that new iOS. We previously talked about it. And then not only did I immediately plug my phone in to have a charge and update it, my boss walked by at one point. We were talking and he happened to glance at my phone and he was like, are you updating the iOS 18 right now? And he was like, oh, my bad. I'm not trying to like peek at your phone. I've been thinking about doing it too. And I was like, yes. My friend was like, oh, I got that new shit, so I had to do it too. But then, halfway through the text, Ed was like, I don't really understand what you're fucking talking about, which I get also, because it's like, can we not do bits? Like, what are you saying? Sometimes you're just like, can you just be clear?
Let me tell our loyal listeners, there are so many things that go unanswered in the world of our fucking text chain. There are so many bits that happen where I just have there are some where I just don't respond because I'm like, why bother getting involved?
maybe if you had your notifications on, you
no, it's not even that. It's just more of like, I don't know what they're alluding to here. It clearly doesn't concern
I like to
me.
create an escape room-esque type of environment in our chat chain where I wait on my phone patiently, like they're going to figure it out. Are they going to figure it out?
Yeah.
You give hints, what I mean?
Basically crumbs everywhere.
Ed, this is what the example I wanted to point out is Ed is a question marker. He likes to put question marks on things.
I don't understand what this means.
But now you can interpret question marks a little bit differently because instead of a question mark, he could do like the emoji, where he thinks about it.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, let me think about this for a second. And the context changes. So it really, as far as texts go, that was like the big one.
To get so much more.
The hierarchy of text messaging is about to change. You know what I mean?
Per my last email, just got its own.
Oh, its own emoji, dude. And then Luis randomly throughout the day was like finding things that he didn't realize he could do. And then all of a sudden he was like, oh, it's not just emojis. You could do stickers. It was last update. We were like, we can do stickers.
Yeah.
And now you're like reacting with them. Oh no, I am all about it. So, I was telling Kristen right away. I was like, sit down. Let me show you what you can do.
So I mean, obviously, if you're way behind and don't even know what I'm talking about with stickers, just go online and YouTube it. You got to figure out what that is. I'm not going to explain it to you, but you can theoretically create any emoji you want with stickers now. Where if I want to react or respond to something, I love slapping a sticker on something, and put it on someone's face. But now you can react with stickers. So that's cool. All the text messaging, and I also, for some reason, like to talk about scheduled texts. Like you can now schedule texts.
Maybe
people at work were like, "Why would you ever want to schedule a text?" I'm like, "Well, it's 3 a.m. I'm drunk as hell. I want to say something, but I don't want to look like a weirdo. So I schedule it for 8:02 a.m. and then I give my thought because I tell you what, in the morning I'm going to forget completely what I want to say, and at least I get that urge out. You know what I mean? I get that.
This is not a comment on you, but this is like the ADHD person's dream function. You know what I mean? Like, I was just talking to someone earlier that was like, "Oh, I had this thought earlier to text you, and then I realized it when it was too late," type vibe. And it was like, you could in the moment go, "I want to boop, boop, boop," and send it off for later. Yeah. You know? And I don't have to think about it.
I don't have to think about it. It's going to happen. They're going to get my message, you know? So for me, that was nice. A cool little feature that I didn't realize I learned through TikTok, I'm still like going through all these things, is, video recording. You can now record something. Let's say you're recording, it doesn't fucking matter. You record something. You can now pause the recording, go somewhere else, can return the resume recording, pause it again, go somewhere else, and resume recording again. So theoretically, you're doing linear editing with the phone.
But so in the way that Instagram and TikTok does that in the app, you can do it on your phone.
Yes.
Okay.
So say you're doing some sort of like rehearsal or line bit or whatever, like you want everybody in your family to say happy birthday, you know, and you don't want to like swing the phone. You can record someone, say happy birthday, pause it, go to the next person, record happy birthday, pause it. And then when you play it all back, it does it seamlessly, which I thought that was like pretty cool.
But can you layer it on top of each other to make like a track?
Well, Ed, funny thing you say that is because now if you play Apple Music or Spotify in the background, you can let it play in the background while you're recording something, which I used to do that all the time in an earlier version, and now you can't. Like before, like say I was playing a song on Spotify, like, I don't know, a fun, like let's say I wanted to record something with,
Sorry, Ed, you sent a screen record earlier where you accidentally played your Spotify while you were recording. And it played in the background while you watch that. Sorry, that's what you're saying,
that's
right?
What I'm saying. Yes, that's what I'm saying.
I didn't even realize that's. Yeah, that was. I think Ed did it on accident. He accidentally swiped down and hit play while he was recording, and it played in the background.
Yeah, like exactly.
Oh, that's cool.
So say like for me, like I'm dumb and like I'm in a hotel and I want to play the Grand Budapest Hotel soundtrack at score as I'm walking through the hallways. I can go to Spotify, play the score, and then record, and then I'm recording it, and it's picking up the audio from my Spotify at the same time. And so now I've created a little moment in time where it's like,
because in Instagram and TikTok you have to pull the audio to your video.
It's stops trying the other app
to streamline it. You know?
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay. Sorry. I'm experiencing it as you're talking about it.
No, I know it's very exciting stuff. And here's a good one too. Say safety. This is for safety. Say you're dealing with your kids, or I don't know, you're in danger or whatever, and you don't want people to look at your apps. You can now assign any app you want to require Face ID. So if there's like, hey, I'll let you borrow my phone, but I don't want you to look at my text. I don't want you to look at my photos. I don't want you looking at my notes. There's a feature now where you can require Face ID. There's also like, say you get car sick in the car all the time, and you you look at the phone and it hurts. They now have these little dots on the screen that kind of move with you to kind of give you a sense of motion, so that it's not too disorienting as you on your phone. Here's another one. Okay. So me and Sarah, we watch obviously Hulu, Peacock, Max, Disney Plus, all these things. And sometimes when I'm away, it likes to sign us out, which sucks. Okay. So now they have this new thing they have this new password manager called Passwords, but I can create a shared password group. Mm-hmm. So now me and Sarah I've shared Sarah my passwords for Hulu, for Max, for Netflix. So at any moment she gets kicked out of my account, she can
click a button.
Yes, she can click the button and easily access all that stuff.
But she doesn't necessarily see the passwords. It's more of like, I've given you permission.
So that's a good question. I don't know, but I wouldn't mind it if she.
No,
don't know
I
the
hear.
answer.
No,
I don't
I
know the
hear you.
answer
I'm
to
not
that
trying
question.
to. That's a legit question. Like, I'm trying to figure out the functionality.
No, yeah. I
Is
mean,
it like a shared thing and then you're done?
in my mind, I was like, yeah, you could just like look at it and see the full password. You know what I mean? But I don't know if it's like X'd out or if people can see it. But I'm fine with it for her either
There
way.
was a really great function in the new iOS update where it allowed Ed and Luis to share their locations with me.
Okay.
No.
Yeah. What about it?
I just
And
feel like you guys could do it. Okay. I've been asking. Okay.
I know you.
I just want to share with my friends every time I find my app. I'm like, oh, they're not doing it yet. No, I do kind of like the password thing. To tag onto that, I also saw that there was like a QR code for the Wi-Fi, so you could like share a personalized QR code to someone. So, Luis, you came over to my house and you want to log into my Wi-Fi. Here's the QR code.
Whoa.
Now we don't have to do the whole password thing. I'm sharing with you.
What? Yeah. Well, okay. So let me step back for a second because there was a moment when if you were friends and you were like, "Hey, you're trying to log on to the Wi-Fi."
Yeah,
do you want me to? Do you want the other person to share?
Yes, but that was the pre of it.
But it was
right?
also
like
a little bit inconsistent too, where I'm like, "Hey, are you getting a notification?
They're
you getting
streamlining it?
Yeah.
You know.
Actually, I don't know how you do that. So how do you give them the QR code for that?
Sorry, this is just something I saw because I think I sent it on that text where I was like, "Here's the thread of all the iOS updates."
I'll look into that.
One of them was like, you can set up your, I guess, sharing Wi-Fi where here's my, I allow it probably. I'm just talking on my ass, but I allow it on my phone, Face ID type vibe or password.
Yeah.
And now I give you the QR code, you scan it, and now you are just connected to my Wi-Fi.
I like the QR code.
Which is so much easier than being like, where's your fucking router so I can look at the AT&T password or whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
that pain in the ass. So I don't know. I okay, step back. I love when an iPhone or an iOS actually has updated changes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't like it when they're like, oh, yeah, and this time we fucking did a sparkle. And you're like, what does the sparkle do? It doesn't do anything. But this was a lot of changes. Even something that I'm kind of getting used to right now, and you've seen a lot of my screen records, where like I try to swipe up because I'm trying to swipe away from the initial screen record. But what I'm doing is like I've swiped down that menu, and then they've given you an option where you have to swipe down menu, and then you can swipe up to the audio and swipe up to the internet.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, that control center business, I feel like it's a little busy. I don't like how busy it is now.
I'm getting used to that. That's a lot.
It's a lot. I don't like I don't like that kind of world.
But they also colorized it where they gave, I know it seems so dumb and like kindergarten-y, but it was like they put a lot of colors on the screen. And I'm like, it looks cool now. I like some of that.
Yeah. There's so many different things. Like you can move apps to literally any place you want. It doesn't just stick automatically to the top. You can make all the apps one color if you want. You can even remove the text underneath the apps. Like I removed all the text in my apps now. So like
yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it's just like if you enable large apps or whatever, it'll remove it. But they're just like you can keep playing with it and have, you know, if you want to be minimalistic, if you don't want to be minimalistic, it's just giving more room and opportunity. You know, at the corners, you know, where it was flashlight and camera, you can now change that to whatever you want. And I have changed it to what to my own.
What do you have?
Well, on one side, I removed my camera with a timer because I cook or I need things. Because why do I need this button when I can just swipe?
You can add that to your screen.
Where you can just swipe it.
Yeah.
You know? Why do I need a button when I can just swipe to the camera mode? And then for this one, sometimes I have an Apple TV, so sometimes I lose my Apple TV remote, or I just too far away and I'm lazy.
100%.
So then I have this little Apple TV remote that goes. But you can customize it to whatever you want. What do you do with
your flashlight? Do you swipe down to do a flashlight?
So good question about the flashlight. Okay, the thing is, I have an iPhone 15 Pro, so I have this action button here.
Oh, you put it there. Okay, that's fine.
So then I just like hold it, boom.
Yeah,
and then I can change the intensity.
Yeah.
Oh, Louise.
No, first off, I just feel attacked because you were like, I have an iPhone 15 Pro.
Yeah.
Bitch, I do too. Okay, like talk to me like talk to me like someone who's in the know.
I was talking to Ed about that. Okay,
I didn't like that. I didn't like that.
Okay, yeah, there's so many fun things. If you want to check it out, Google it, and then you'll figure out some more stuff.
Google it. That's what it says.
Google it.
And widget. Widget is where I find it.
I'm a widget boy. I got some widgets.
No,
Are you just now adding widgets to your phone, Ed?
to my lock screen? Yeah.
Or anywhere, really?
Yeah,
Tell me the last thing you
said
widged.
the timer, and the timer is a very handy.
Can I say
you can
something
put your
that's-
calculator too. If you're not doing math.
Talking about calculator, can I say something that every time the iPhone does something new, and I got to give it to them, Android users are always like, we've been doing that.
Yeah.
The calculator updated, and I use my calculator a lot at work for like quick little, I'm doing something, yada yada. And sometimes I have a hard time because I'm like, calculate something, and then I have to go to another app, and then it's like it zeroes out again the next time you go to it.
Yes.
But the new calculator is doing a very Android thing that's been on the Android phones, where it has a history of all of your calculations.
That's pretty cool.
So you can hit history and go, oh yeah, that's right. It was 48. Oh, it was 79. It was whatever I'm calculating. And then I can add all those numbers together. You know what I mean? And so it feels dumb if you're an Android user and you're like, you're just now doing that.
Yeah.
But I have an iPhone, bitch. So what are you going to
do? There's a bunch of cool stuff like that. You could go on notes and write 2 + 2 and it fills it out for you. Yeah, it fills it out for you. But that's all I wanted to say. Check it out. Download the iOS 18 app. Have some fun. I know we are.
Dignity. Yeah.
Have some dignity for the love of God.
Stop making me read the long texts about your reaction.
Hey, real quick,
see the reaction.
Luis, Ed, me, did any of you read the terms of service or whatever?
No, update? I almost texted you guys. I was like, did either one of you do this? Should I
never do it.
I never do it.
You know what kills me is they go accept, and then you hit accept, and they go, hey, here's a bubble. Do you really want to accept? And you're like, yes, just download.
Yeah.
And then I think about Disney and that whole thing that just happened recently where they tried to argue, well, you accepted our terms of service, and so therefore your wife died, and that's not
accidental death.
Yeah. And I'm like, shit, every single company just did that shit in their terms of service.
You guys seen that South Park episode about the human centipede? That's a great episode,
yeah,
but
that's a good episode, yeah.
It predicted that shit, It's like, oh, well, you did accept. You did agree to it. It says right here on section B of your clause that you would attach yourself to the anus of another human. So we'll find out. We will be.
You know what? What I love about this is in the next couple of weeks, we're going to find new things to talk about for iOS 18.
Yeah.
We're going to be ready to go.
But until then, tune in next week when I think we're going to talk about the Penguin. The Penguin comes out when this releases. Or will we? I don't know. What are we going to talk about, boys?
No, listen, I'm down for Penguin, but I just think Ed's going to be a little busy over the next week.
Oh, that's
I should be a little busy.
Let's go ahead and just assume, let's tell the audience now, Ed's not going to be here next week.
Or probably the following week.
But I bet you anything, I will have watched the Penguin.
But you know what? Also, somehow Sarah will be on the podcast, but Ed's taking a nap. You're like, what are you doing?
Ed, even if you want to voice memo us a thought on the Penguin, we'll play it on the podcast. We'll watch what I mean?
All right. Well, send me the voicemail or something, and I'll leave. I'll send a message.
Big
voice memo.
Big update next week.
Ed's on paternity leave. We'll see him in a couple weeks.
We're doing a Fortnite episode soon, and I can't wait.
Yeah, that's right.
Just a whatever.
I can't wait to skip that one.
You know what?
You'll be on paternity leave, Ed.
You probably won't skip it because you'll have a.
No, I mean, I won't even listen to it. I don't know what it's about. You know what I mean?
Well, that hurts. But
we'll talk about Megalopolis at the end. And
Megalopolis.
Megalopolis.
Megalolips.
Megalolips. That'll be in a couple of weeks. Talk about megalolips. But until then, it's been me, Luis Gonzalo, and with me's been
Miguel Sanchez.
Gonzalo?
Miguel Sunk.
And bow.
Till next time, later, Gators.
Fuck off, like just like and subscribe.
Bye bye.